Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Give me a 1 if y'all can hear me. I'm trying to get set up, family. Bear with me. This evening, it's going to be a long and bumpy ride because we got a lot to talk about. Y'all, I'm going through my backpack, trying to find my headphones, but it looks like I'm going to have to go tonight without them. Y'all, I'm going to get back to my normal setup soon, so bear with me. I'm finding microphone and everything. Y'all, I am back. Y'all ready? It's too much going on. It's too much going on, family, for me to sit on it. Just to sit and say, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to chill. I'm not going to do any. It's too much going on for me to just sit on this news and not talk about it. Family, first let me apologize. Last night, I was slipping. I didn't do what I was supposed to do last night. I promised y'all when something goes awry that I was going to hurry up and do a live and come in and do a quick live and talk about it. Last night, when I say everything went left and I was so out of it and so tired, and then I got on Pastor Kelly's live, so I was unable to go ahead and do the whole thing with dealing with Iran and Israel. So I apologize. So let's go ahead and do my shout outs this evening. Welcome, family. I'm seeing faces I ain't seen in a long time. Y'all must have missed me. Welcome, Clifford Possible, Timothy Davis. Welcome, Josephine Yasharel. Welcome, Pinky D. What's up? Arrow Spike is in the house. Welcome, Arrow Spike. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Angie Love, you know, sis, I'm always happy to see you. Welcome, welcome. What's going on, Susan G? What's up? What's up? What's up? Van P, welcome, welcome, welcome. Y'all know I love to welcome y'all. This journey, welcome, welcome, welcome to the house of Sister E. The Days Vlogs, welcome. You must be a newcomer. If you are, welcome. Miss Ray 26, welcome, welcome. Carl, welcome. Zion on my mind. Y'all, please let these names continually be easy. Dallas Judah, welcome. Lyndon Graves, welcome, welcome. Denise Jones, thank you for coming out. Here we go. Carosa's mom, I think I'm saying Kairosa's mom, welcome. Well, y'all know I can tell some names. Don't talk about me. I think I said Carl, welcome. Carl, welcome to the house, Nakia Yasharel, I hope I'm saying that right. I hope I'm not missing nobody, y'all. If I miss you, I don't mean it. Cameron Thomas. Welcome, Cameron. Naomi Levi. Welcome to the house. Welcome to the house. What's going on? I got my buddy back here. He backstage. He gonna help me out tonight. Let's see. Steve Monroe, welcome. 110 people in here, y'all. Let's get these numbers up, y'all, because Sister E has been chilling. Welcome, Tanya. Denise, welcome. Steve. Enosh, welcome. Rose, welcome. Denise. Sobel, welcome. A newcomer. So I'm loving all the newcomers too as well. Warrior of Yah, Carl, welcome. Silver, I got to stop y'all because I'll be doing welcomes all day. Warrior of Yah, welcome. So if I missed you, I apologize. Hit a 1 for awakening. I got to stop y'all because I'll be calling names out for a good little minute. I want to welcome everybody to tonight's segment. Tonight's segment is going to be very interesting. Let me bring my guest up. My brother, LV, Europa,
yes.
Free Talk Show. Y'all, if you want to look at content in reference to what's going on as far as the celebrities and mainstream, go check out my brother Europa. Say something to the people.
Yes. Before I say something, I want to say a few words, man. I want to just show some love to a few people that I feel the need to reach out to. And it's the same people that you was just naming, the supporters, man. Silversite, Levi, Steve Monroe, Niash, Dave Vlogs. Come on, Dennis Jones, Susan G, this Vineyard. Yes. We on Sister E, and I want to talk all about it. Sister E, I appreciate the warm welcome. I love your channel, and I love to participate, and I love the support that I see in the chat. It's active. What's going on here? I thought you said this was a. I thought this was a quiet zone where it's just gonna be me and you. You got guests?
Oh,
Talk
I
to
got
me.
plenty of guests. I got plenty
Oh,
of guests. Oh
I
man,
didn't know.
we they come out. They come out. They gonna keep they come out. They come support. They love. They know I love them, y'all. I would have my camera on, but I got to get my new setup because y'all, I've been out of sync. I gotta find my camera. Gotta find my microphone. Y'all know I got to get back to those days. But this is the family that comes visits me every Friday night. If you were involved in those Friday night conversations with Zadok and all of them, this was the family that was involved with those conversations, in depth,
Sister,
great conversations. So we finna get it back crack a lacking because
mm,
I've been sleeping on my job. I've been sleeping on my job. So family, tonight is finna be very interesting. The reason I say that tonight is gonna be interesting, family, is because it's so much going on. Last night, um, Israel hit Iran. That's one thing that happened.
mm.
Another thing that happened, TikTok ban. They're talking about banning TikTok. Two, another thing that happened, a man literally set himself on fire in Manhattan. And he was also, I found out, considered to be an active shooter. So it's a lot going on right now.
That's
And
a
then
lot.
not to mention Mr. John Hagee. Y'all, that is so much going on right now that I would be wrong for not coming out here talking to y'all about it. I promised y'all I would do this. And y'all know I love the news. Y'all know I live about the news. That's all I do is do the news. I watch news all day. In fact, what's so funny is Benaiah was talking about the event with Iran and Israel and kept saying, well, it hadn't hit mainstream. Well, because I'm always on the news, on YouTube,
Hey,
listen to Democracy Now, listen to all those channels. I was catching all the stuff.
Sister E,
What's up?
a couple of days ago, somebody actually told me that news was an acronym, right? And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
it's an acronym. What does it mean? And it said it stands for National Events, Weather, and Sports.
Yes.
And when they said
Yes.
those four things, all I could think about was Sister E. I was like, we was just arguing about football. We was just arguing about Palestine. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
it just makes sense.
I thank you that you thought about me.
I,
But because I love, I love the news. I grew up in a family with journalists. And because I grew up around journalists my whole life, grew up around newspaper editors, Wednesday night trying to get the newspaper out, breaking news. I grew up around it because my mom was an editor of a newspaper. I grew to have a love for it. At one time, I didn't care for it, but I grew to love it because that's what I grew up on. I have nothing but respect for people who do that for a living. So because of that, guess what? I'm gonna go and sway to where my comfort zone is. And my comfort zone is here. Somebody told me this today. Angie Love Yah said, Sister E, that's your lane. That's your lane. And I never thought about it because it's just what I'm comfortable with. You never think that your comfort zone is your lane because it's your comfort zone.
man, Sister E, I'm telling you right now, today when I called you because I was like, please update me on what has happened in Clubhouse in the past 2 weeks. You the news anchor. I literally get my current events from you. Do you understand that? I work all day. So when I need to tap into what's happening, I literally call you. Now, am I lying about that or did that
You're
just
not
happen?
you're not lying because what happens is when I go into those clubhouse spaces, I don't talk, I just listen. And don't you know they had a two black rabbinical Jews arguing amongst each other yesterday. I sat in there for a minute and I left. I said, I got to come out this clubhouse space and come back to my YouTube family because this is ridiculous. So, yeah. So let me show y'all something. I don't want to get too far off the beaten path because everybody's asking me, what did John Hagee do? What did John Hagee do? What did John Hagee do? Y'all, let me go ahead and play this for you. Let me go and play this for you. When I play it for you, you're gonna laugh. First, let me let that be known. You're gonna laugh. Let me go to it real quick. Let me just stop and let me go ahead and give people what they want. Let them see what I'm talking about. John Hagee first has lost his entire mind. Let you know that. John Hagee has lost his whole mind, y'all. Let me find it. Hold on. I'm looking for it. They didn't change some stuff out here on YouTube and trying to find your stuff that you
Man,
hold
it's an
on.
empty
Recent
abyss. The library is just vast.
man. No, I'm in my playlist. I forgot. I need to go to my watch list. The channel is
Shoel Rochelle said fair use. Yes, everything is used in fair use.
fair use. Fair use. Let me see. Where is my library?
Dennis Jones, Shalom. For Awakening, Peace. Kasha Yah, Shalom. Pride of Judah, welcome to the chat, man. Love you
Well,
for being here.
I'm trying to find my playlist. Bear with me, family. Your channel, history. Where is my playlist? Hold
You'll,
on.
you'll 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 find it, man. Put a one in the chat if you love what Sister E do. I'm just trying to gauge something here. Somebody told me Sister E audience love what she does. Let me see something real quick. Put a one in the chat. I think I may be confused. I might be in the wrong spot. Oh my goodness, one's all over the place. Susan G, For Awakening, Warrior Yah, Dennis Jones, Cynthia Yah, Carl Arby, Zion on my mind, Nehemiah Yah. What is going on here? It's too stop. Too many ones. Leave it alone. I'm sorry. I don't even know why I asked y'all that. Sister E, why did I even say that? They
This my
spam in the
family.
chat. What's
This my
going on?
that's my
Dallas Judah, Stephanie M, Van B, released from a cave. What is going on here? Timothy Davis,
this my family right
Ray
here.
Robinson.
Guys.
Like, if you said it was family, all you got to do is say that. I wouldn't even have tested them like that. For
This
real, for real.
family right
This
here.
family.
This
That's all you had to
family.
say.
100% family.
My goodness,
So
L. Walker, what's happening? Tanya Horton, what? Dave.
okay, so
Oh my
I
goodness.
found my video. So I usually have it queued up. I know Sheila gonna fuss at me because she told me, Sister E, you need to have your stuff queued up. You need to have your stuff queued up. Sheila, I'm so sorry.
She's
This
telling you right.
we've been working on other stuff dealing with the channel because I praise the Most High Yah for people like LV. LV noticed that I have been out of the cut, and he's another person, y'all. And y'all got to give a shout out to LV that's been pushing me. Sister E, you need to get back to YouTube. You need to get back to YouTube. Your voice, your voice needs to be heard on YouTube. You out here in these clubhouse streets, you need to get back into your space. And I did take a long hiatus, and LV is constantly on my case. People like LV, Dante Fortson, Teo, Pastor Kelly, Angie, Sheila, and Brew Queen, and Brooklyn, everybody shot us saying, get back to YouTube. And I did take a hiatus, y'all, because I was tired. I needed a break.
Sister
And
E,
now I'm back.
you know how many YouTubes I go to and 10 people don't come through? I've been here 10 minutes and it's already 50 different people. What's the live at? 100 it's almost 200. What's happening?
I'm great.
You have a very good platform right here. And I salute these individuals for coming out and supporting you. And hopefully they see what I see in you, which is Sister E. You don't gotta play like all that other. Be yourself, because that's what we fell in love with. I'm just like them people in the comment who spamming one right now. They enjoy what you do. I'm here for the show.
I love y'all. Thank y'all so much. So let's get to the business, y'all. Y'all gonna love this video. So let me go ahead and share. Let me see. Share the video. Let me tell y'all, I gotta tell y'all a quick story before I start the video. I got so bad with YouTube that I forgot to make a payment, and I couldn't understand why I could not put my YouTube logo up, my Sister E logo up. I said, why is it that I'm not getting my YouTube? I had stopped making the payment to StreamYard. And I said, oh, I need to revamp my StreamYard repayment. So that's how far I had gotten away from YouTube. I forgot about StreamYard. So y'all see my logo back. I got everything back. So Let's get it going. I'm getting ready to share. We're gonna start with this one because this one is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. So before we get started on this, I know y'all see this little stuff right here on the side. I'm gonna go ahead and spread this video out. Some analytics. So John Hagee provides his insight, and I think this video came out. Let me see when this video came out. This video came out because this is very relevant to know when it came out. What's the date on this video? Do you see the? Oh, 3 days ago. This came out just here recently, 3 days ago. So with everything that's going on with Israel and Iran, everybody has been wondering, what is John Hagee saying? And y'all know John Hagee is the Israel Return spokesperson. He believes that, they are the people and their return. It's a great return. 1948 is prophecy. He's a big advocate for it, if you don't know. But I think everybody knows John Hagee. So John Hagee finally provided his insight. So I'm going to go ahead and play it for you.
Pastor, obviously, the world watched last night as news networks covered the reports of the things that are transpiring in Israel. For many decades, you have been describing a scenario in which Iran and Russia were going to play a major role in events leading up to, prophetic fulfillment. What exactly did you see last night that you want to share with the people this morning?
Prophetically, we are on the verge of the Gog Magog war that Ezekiel described in chapters 38 and 39. Iran attacked Israel one day after our president looked into the face of the camera and said, "Don't." Don't you know they just laid on the ground and trembled with fear? They were loading the launch pad right then. The Democrats are trying to advise Israel to de-escalate, which is music to the ears of Hamas and Iran. We don't need to de-escalate. Hamas started a war murdering Jewish people. Hamas needs to be wiped out.
I'm going to stop right here for a second, and I'm just going to bring this up. Keep in mind, those people were pushed into Gaza, and they were not allowed to go either place, go back into, I think, the West Bank or go back into Egypt. So these people were pretty much held captive, and they couldn't leave. And now they making it seem as if the people in Palestine are the victimizers, but rather yet they've been victimized. So Iran is not with it. Now keep in mind, Iran is already pissed off because y'all broke the whole code. Y'all started bombing Israel. Was it consulates? Oh, I'm saying that wrong. Y'all started bombing that area, and you killed a major, and Israel killed a major political figure, which ultimately led to them saying, you know what, game changer, we stepping into the war. So we can't forget that. So I'm gonna keep playing it.
Right. There's some things I want to say, but I'm gonna wait.
Okay.
Period. So you heard me say, love is not what you do. Love is not what you say, it's what you do. So what are we going to do about it? You know, the providential timing of God is an awesome thing. Early in the week, when I began to feel the way this was going, I told our Christians United for Israel organization, we're going to have a Washington, D.C. fly-in. This is an emergency fly-in. That means you fly in one day instantly and have a meeting with Congress. After the service today, I'm going to get on a plane and fly to Washington, D.C. 250 more leaders from across the nation are going to converge there also. we're going to go to face the House of Representatives face to face and tell them to stop shuffling papers and actually do something to help Israel. I think they're going to be quite shocked at what we have to say and how vigorously we're going to say it. But it should have been done a long time ago. But God structured this in just a way that the door is now open, and we're going to go through it like a bulldozer. I assure you that. They may not like us, but they're not going to be misunderstanding what we say. Pray for them.
I don't believe him. I think he's capping. It's fake news. I don't believe him.
You
I don't
think
believe it.
happened? Do you realize how much money the evangelical church got? Do you realize how much money they got?
Yeah, but that's not consequential. When we talk about money, that's a whole debate within itself. But what access to infrastructure? We mean critical infrastructure. We're talking army, we're talking businesses, we're talking things that humans rely on that they actually have access to. Now they have a lot of supporters as far as manpowers or subscribers or subscriptions, but how many of them are actually actionable on a large scale? I don't believe it. I think he's just blowing air. I don't. We'll get to it.
They got a lot of lobbyists. So let's keep going.
The money. Yeah. Wait. The money is long. Don't get it twisted.
Oh yeah.
Don't get it twisted. The money is long. They can shift narratives in public opinion, but can they actually make it? Like he talking about emergency meetings, pulling up the Congress. You know how many people don't pull up the Congress? That shit don't mean nothing. Money doesn't mean nothing on a global scale for real. In my personal opinion, that's just a social. That's a social tool.
Do you see this right here? They said that church, which is the evangelical church, you got to realize, John Hagee come from.
It's big.
They give Israel $2 million a year.
What is 2 million on the global scale? That means nothing. And you said yearly. It would take in 10 years, they would have how much? 20 million. That's nothing.
Hagee can't give 20 million a year. So they giving some money.
Man, come on, man. Well, it's money. Don't get me twisted. But it's not enough money on a global scale. That's one that what is that? Ammo for 1,000 troops with high power ammunition. Come on,
not to mention, like I said, I mean, Hagee can't give 20,000 a year. 2 million plus, not to mention the billions that the U.S. is giving.
No, that's the money.
That's the money right there, and then and that's just an estimate that someone is providing. We really don't know how much they really giving.
Yeah, but these are social pacifiers. I look at him as social pacifiers. He old as hell. He fat as hell. He not actionable at all. He's just a seat that sits in a position that is able to speak to people, and because he's had a long tenure. And I'm just giving you how I look at it. It's like an anchorman. News stations typically use anchormen in 30 to 40 year increments because no matter what they say, the person that grew up within their circumference of influence is just going to believe them. And that's the same thing when it comes to like cults, believers, anything. Like they're just going to believe they old heads. Let's be real.
Let's see. Let's finish because I'm going to play another video.
I want all the smoke with him.
Come on. I know you do. I will bring Santonio up here. I might bring him up here in a minute.
And he don't want no issues. I guarantee it.
Let me see what Santonio. You know, Santonio ain't got nothing to do.
Yeah, you already know.
And I'm gonna bring Aerospike. You can hop up here too as well. Let me put my link in here. Hold on.
I don't believe him. I don't believe this dude. I don't know. Like,
hold on, because I know Aerospike comes from. I think he was a part of the evangelical church. That evangelical church got heavy money. Let me get Santonio.
Money when you talk about money, that is influential on a social scale, which are the masses. But majority of the masses are not actionable. They don't have the abilities to, get things going. They're worried about making it through the next day, next week, next month.
But let me
So
finish. Let's finish. So I want you to hear the rest of it because I'm gonna go to another video where I forgot who it was. I'm gonna play it and y'all know who I'm talking about when I show his picture.
we're gonna go to Congress and we're gonna demand. Like,
So
well, you
many
ain't
things
gonna
running through
demand
my head
nothing.
right now. But
Say it. Bless you.
well, I mean, you've always been a heavy equipment operator. How else would you? I'm a bulldozer, right? Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a pacifier preacher. So if what you wanted was he's very tender-hearted, but sometimes comfort comes in the form of a bulldozer. So, as Pastor was talking about God's providence on Monday during the eclipse, remember that happened last week too? You had a number of people and even church leaders saying, this means nothing, this means nothing, this means nothing. And yet the whole world paused to watch God turn out the lights. And here at the end of the week, we're describing an attack on the house of Israel. I can tell you for certain, it's as if the Lord is sitting on his throne saying, do I have your undivided attention?
Amen. Amen. That's the God.
So I believe it's time to fulfill what the scripture says, to pray for the peace of Jerusalem and pray for the Lord's return.
I am here to tell you today that
Let me play the other video.
Hey, Sister E, somebody posted something in here real quick. His name is Etta K, and they say Hagee has millions of followers and voice counts for elections.
Yes, you got to realize Hagee got a heavy hand in politics. What happened was evangelicals realized that they can't get any traction unless they're into politics. And a lot of these House seats and Senate seats are evangelicals. So
Yeah, they are.
they have a hand in it. So I'm going to show you a video of what this person thinks about the evangelical church and how methodical they are in their thinking process.
No. Play it. I'm gonna just speak until when it starts. I'm gonna stop. But like, it's limited. Like, we already know that just in regards to let's just say the presidency, it's an electoral college. Anything outside of that is local government. So these individuals do control particular circumferences of influence, but it's not on a federal or global scale. They don't have their hands in the actual mechanics or infrastructure that runs nations. The biggest thing that they have is their social control on the everyday average person, and we're gonna get into that too.
I'm gonna play something to you. I'm gonna play something because the thing is, I don't think you remember the John Hagee era. That John Hagee era was heavy. I don't think you were probably. I was young, so if I was young during the John Hagee era, and I was a kid like in elementary school, you had the dog on there be in diapers. But John Hagee had such an influence to shift the narrative when it came to prophecy that people actually, and he did a good job because I was one when I got older, I was one of the ones that agreed with John Hagee. But when I started getting older and reading the Bible for myself, I realized John Hagee was playing a game. Let me play the Young Turks. You're going to see exactly what I'm talking about when I play them. Hold on a second. Hold on.
Yeah, let me see. I'm interested. You got my wheels spinning right now.
Let me share. Let me share.
Miss Ray said, I remember my mom used to watch him on TBN regularly.
Of the Gog-Magog war that Ezekiel described in chapters 38 and 39.
In response to growing violence in the Middle East and Iran's retaliatory attack against Israel, evangelical pastor John Hagee claimed that Iran's strike against Israel was the beginning of an apocalyptic war from the Bible. But Hagee actually wants the war to happen, as you're about to hear him explain. Let's listen.
The Democrats are trying to advise Israel to de-escalate, which is music to the ears of Hamas and Iran. We don't need to de-escalate. Hamas started a war murdering Jewish people. Hamas needs to be wiped out, period. You know, the providential timing of God is an awesome thing. Early in the week, when I began to feel the way this was going, I told our Christians United for Israel organization, we're going to have a Washington, D.C. fly-in. This is an emergency fly-in. That means you fly in one day instantly and have a meeting with Congress. After the service today, I'm going to get on a plane and fly to Washington, D.C. 250 more leaders from across the nation are going to converge there also. We're going to go to face the House of Representatives face to face and tell them to stop shuffling papers and actually do something to help Israel. God structured this in just a way that the door is now open and we're going to go through it like a bulldozer. I assure you that.
Pausing here to deliver some honest truth as we do in our news coverage as well. TYT is facing challenges, guys, as the entire industry is. You know who could make the difference? You. If you hit the join button below, it's gonna make all the difference and keep us in business. We appreciate you, thank you.
The door is now open and we will go through it like a bulldozer. Now, what's the deal and why is he so excited about the Gog and Magog war? Well, this is something we've been talking about on the show when we discuss things like the Israel lobby, which should not be mistaken as a Jewish lobby. The Israel lobby consists of evangelicals who look forward to the end times, and the end times would not be good for the Jewish people. So here's what his organization, Christians United for Israel, has stated. Christian support for Israel is based on the promises of God in Scripture that affirm a future for the Jewish people and God's continued faithfulness to the nation, not on prophecies regarding the end times or speeding the return of Christ. But that doesn't actually track with Hagee's excitement for the Gog and Magog war, which, like, anyway. Considering how serious it is, right? And considering the death and destruction, that name is fascinating. But in the Bible, Gog is the leader of Magog, a place in the far north that many evangelicals believe is Russia. According to Ezekiel's prophecy, Gog will join with Persia, now Iran, and other Arab nations to attack a peaceful Israel like a cloud that covers the land. Many evangelicals believe this battle will bring on the rapture, the end times event, when God spirits away the good Christians to heaven before unleashing plagues, sickness, and other horrors on the unbelievers remaining on earth.
God, you good Christians must love that idea. Oh my God, we're gonna murder everyone and we're gonna have plagues and sickness. They didn't believe the things we believed and they're all going to be tortured. We're such good Christians.
The door has been opened, Cenk.
Okay.
So in other words, Israel has to be attacked in order for the apocalypse to destroy everyone except the Christians, which will be saved by the second coming.
Oh, as long as the
This is the significant thought pattern of the psychotic mindset of evangelicalism.
Right.
I have little to no tolerance for evangelicalism in the thought pattern of you want a war to start. And when I dig deeper into this video, he's going to give you another part of their mindset. Their mindset is not what they think. Their mindset is them being raptured up. Let's push a war so that we can get raptured up. So piss everybody
Which
off,
is
cause all the
stupid.
nations to fight amongst each other, so they can cause a war of all wars, so Jesus can come and rapture them up. How selfish and psychotic is the mindset of evangelicalism if they think like that, with them thinking like that? But I'm gonna play. It's the psycho colonizers mindset. We're dealing with the colonizers mindset. They don't see their wrong and their sins. They want to pull everybody else into the fight so that they can get benefits for it. People don't realize the meat of the slave trade. Evangelicalism was involved in it. White Christianity was involved in it. Most people love to say, well, black people were involved in the slave trade. Yes, they were. But when you look at it from a U.S. perspective, the U.S. bread and butter was pretty much the slave trade. And guess who was a part of it?
Pretty much, it was critical to the success of the nation. Let's
They
be
psychos.
honest.
They psychos. But let me finish this video because I want you to hear why they're thinking the way that they're thinking. Psychos. I'm talking about pure psychos. But I'm gonna play it for you. Oh, Europa must got kicked out. I'll bring it back in, but I'm gonna play it.
Christians are saved. Murder for everyone else. We're such good Christians.
The door has been opened, Cenk.
Okay.
So in other words, Israel has to be attacked in order for the apocalypse to destroy everyone except the Christians, which will be saved by the second coming.
Oh, as long as the Christians are saved, murder for everyone else. Such a wonderful, loving God. Remember, guys, it's not actually the Bible. It's their interpretation of the Bible.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
So like a lot of good Christians read the Bible and go, oh, the Gog and Magog stuff seems a little bit outdated and a little kooky. But I love the part where it's Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus actually speaks to the New Testament, where he talks about taking care of the needy, the poor, and being kind and loving and being the Prince of Peace. Now, think about it. If you're a Christian, look, I don't believe the things that you believe. I think believing Gog and Magog is clinically insane. Okay, but if you're a Christian and you think, well, the devil's real and he's in the world. Now, of course, everybody knows the devil's gonna come in disguise. He's not gonna be like, hey, I'm the devil, right? So would he come as someone who is Jewish? That doesn't seem likely. Would he come as someone who's Muslim? Well, that'd be a pretty big heads up to the Christian folks. They wouldn't get tricked by that. That seems unlikely. Wouldn't he come as a Christian pastor who's telling you that Jesus was not the Prince of Peace, but that Jesus wanted death and destruction, and that he says we don't want to de-escalate? Do you see, if you read the New Testament at all, you're a real Christian, do you think that Jesus would think, oh, I don't want to de-escalate, I want more people killed? Really, you got that out of the New Testament? He said, we want to wipe them all out. That's what you got out of the New Testament, was that Jesus wanted to wipe everyone out?
I want to give you this tweet from Pastor Hagee from over the weekend. He writes, the king is coming again very soon, and the church will be called to meet him in the air.
Good, why don't you meet him in the air now? Good, go take a plane, jump out of it and meet him in the air. Okay, I ain't got nothing to do with it, but go ahead. But hey, listen, if you believe in the voodoo, I don't believe so. I think Hagee, if there is a devil, it's exactly someone like Hagee. And all the other evangelical preachers telling you how they need private jets and mansions and all that stuff. Imagine Jesus, who said, give away all of your worldly belongings and follow me. If you were the devil, you would of course be an evangelical preacher telling everybody to obsess about money, to give all of their hard-earned money to those preachers so they can have 12 jets and invade more countries and kill more people. That is exactly what you would do if you were the devil.
Let me say something. I know I don't agree with a lot of stuff the Young Turks say. I don't. Some things I agree, some things I don't. The key to news is eat the meat, spit out the bones. Where I do agree is the Christian church itself. When you look at some of the stuff that they're doing, I'm a believer. I'm a definite believer. One, I think the Young Turks, they're more atheist than anything.
They are.
But ultimately, when you dig and pull behind, look behind the veil, ultimately, when you look at the news report, I'm sorry, I'm drinking some water. But when you look at the news report and when you listen to what they're saying, evangelicals, I'm gonna finish playing, and because I don't think he said it just yet. Let me let him finish, and then we'll talk about it. But I just want to say, eat the meat, spit out the bone.
And guys, look, the reason why I felt that it was important to show you his statement in that video is because of what he also says about his plan of action, what he is planning to do alongside, in his words, hundreds of other religious leaders. They're going to Washington, D.C. to lobby Congress to prevent the de-escalation of war in the Middle East. Okay, like, this is why the types of decisions that seem to make no sense get made in DC by members of Congress. It's not about doing the right thing. It's not about preventing civilian casualties, civilian deaths. It's about doing right by their donors, by those who are lobbying toward them. And that's why following Iran's attack, incredibly weak attack, which caused absolutely like no death, no damage in Israel, you have all these neocons lining up in corporate media demanding for the escalation of more war. Guys, it's so devastating. Innocent people are going to die if our government decides to go along with this.
Yeah, look, Anna's 100%. The number one problem here is that this stuff works. So I read into a lot of the Christians United for Israel. That's Hagee's organization. So number one, do you know that they raise $100 million annually, every single year, and hand it over to Israeli groups? And so some of those are that help the settlers, that drives even more violence and more conflict. And second of all, they do these fly-ins all the time. Like if you and I did a fly-in to DC, it would be hilarious because almost no legislator would meet with us.
We don't have money.
Because we don't have money, right? But these Christians United for Israel fly in all these pastors and they all come in. I think that they're like literally the most, they're almost escaped mental patients, right? They come in their outfits and they're like, God, Magog, listen to us. God, Magog is coming. And then they're like, yeah, by the way, here's a check. And all the politicians are like, all right, Gog, Magog it is. Who do you want us to murder? Okay. And so and unfortunately, when they do these fly-ins, they have a track record of enormous success because they come packing money and what the politicians believe is a lot of evangelical voters. By the way, I think they're totally wrong about that in today's America. That used to be very true, but a lot of the right wing has left that camp.
Yeah.
And they're in the camp of, no, I'm not interested in going to have my son go to the Middle East and die there for no goddamn reason. So I don't want to hear about your stupid Gog and Magog. So last thing.
Hearing him say Gog and Magog, have you ever read the book called Fairy Tales by Stephen King? He keeps saying it makes me think about Gog and Magog they talk about in fairy tales. But I used to listen to the audio book and they said the same thing. But y'all keep listening. Eat the meat, spit out the bone. Listen to what he's saying.
Thing on this. So do they care about Israel? Now we've covered this many times. Of course not. But I recently read about a documentary by a Jewish filmmaker. She went and covered these people and wanted to see, hey, why do they love Israel so much? And of course, what she found out is they do not love Israel. One of the pastors said, you don't want me to tell you why I'm helping you. She's like, yeah, I do. Okay, so he finally spits it out. He goes, the Jews are arrogant and God will humble them.
Jesus.
But first, they need to start a giant war in the Middle East, in Israel itself. So because they have this end times prophecy, not in the Bible at all, made up by a lunatic evangelical preacher in America in the 1970s about how Israel has to take over an entire area, has to destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and then Jesus is going to land in the air or Hagee's going to catch him in the middle. And then they're going to suck up all the good Christians. Yeah. And by the way, the last part's really important. Murder all of the rest of us, including all the Jews in Israel and about 8 billion people. And that's the fantasy that they're looking forward to. I wish God would come down and murder everyone.
Yeah, imagine salivating over that notion and thinking you're the good guy.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. I really appreciate it. Another way to show.
You see, that's what I wanted to let everybody hear. Everybody was like, oh, the Young Turks. I don't really listen to Young Turks, but that popped up in my timeline. Every blue moon, I listen to things like that so that I can get another perspective. and see what other people are thinking. But when you look at the psychotic mindset of people that follow John Hagee, when they follow people like that, their mindset is they want to destroy everybody, and they think that they're going to be the only ones inhabiting the earth. Because I even think evangelicalism, they skip over. They look at the and you tell me this because Aaron Spike, you came from evangelicalism, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
What are their thoughts with the millennial kingdom? Before I say anything,
Okay. Well, a lot of within evangelical Christianity is what you call premillennial, where they believe, what they believe that again that Yeshua is going to come back, again calls up from the earth into heaven. We call that hapazo, the taking away, and then after the 7 years, Yeshua's going to come back, us with him, and then 1,000 years of peace. That's how most evangelicals look at this. And so with Hagee, him being one of, like I said, one of the top people when it comes to dealing with end time prophecy from their perspective, end time prophecy, he's the man. People listen to him. Him and what's the other guy? Perry Stone. I don't know if you've ever heard of
yeah,
him before.
Perry Stone. I thought Perry Stone, is he still alive? I thought he passed away.
I'm not sure because like I said, I used to listen to both of them 20 years ago, especially when I was studying prophecy back then. But yeah, a lot of evangelicalism. I said the young man who was on here, right? A lot of this stuff was happening, especially during the night, especially in the mid '80s through the
Yes,
'90s.
yes,
That's when these guys were the superstars. So like him, I'd say again, Ken, like Ken Hagen, Ken can't think of his last name. The other guy, Word of Faith preachers. Even though their doctrine and something were different on this one thing, when it come to Israel in 1948, they were pretty much all on one accord. They were all about saying yes, that this prophecy has been fulfilled because in 1948 these people came in here and now the clock has started. And so again, so when they started looking at like the 1967 war, they were like, oh, this is it, this is what's happening right now. Saying that this was because Vietnam was going on at the time, the civil rights movement that really rocked them. They're like, oh shoot, these Negroes is rising up. We must be in the end times.
yep.
The Yom Kippur War in '73. All these things started happening. So they will always look at these different world events coming on and say, oh, this is it. The one thing that what Hagee was saying that's so problematic is that his attitude actually goes against scripture, what Yeshua was teaching. If it's okay, I want to read what happened when when the disciples themselves had that same type of mentality, and that's coming out of Luke 9, verses 51 through 54. Is it okay if I read it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sure. And it says, so again, it's Luke 9, chapter 9, 51 to 54. He said, as the time approached for him to be taken up into heaven, Yeshua resolutely set out for Jerusalem. And he sent messengers on ahead who went into a Samaritan village to get things ready for him. Now, again, Samaritan, that's key because they were considered, quote unquote, half breeds. All right. So it was an ethnic thing among, our people saying, no, these people aren't really us. They're half breeds. So keep that in mind. When the people there did not welcome him because he was headed for Jerusalem, when the disciples, James and John, saw this, they asked, Adon, do you want us to call down fire from heaven to destroy them? What did Hagee just sound like? What he said just now?
Who does
He
he
wanted
sound?
to bulldoze through them, right?
Yep.
Yep, that's the same mentality. And what was Yeshua's response? Yeshua turned and rebuked them. So,
Yep.
so what everything that he said, Yeshua would rebuke. So
Sure that he would.
how? So again, when and So when people are pushing that type of ideology, they're not going along with scripture. They're actually going against it. Yeshua never told us to pray for a war to destroy people. He says he didn't come to destroy people. He said, I didn't come to destroy their lives, but to save them. Where is the good news being preached to them instead of saying, man, I can't wait till you come back so we can kill these people? Where is that in the scripture?
Yep. And that's why I tell people in our community, because it even tells you in the world, don't wish for that day because it's going to be an awful, dreadful day.
Yes.
It tells us to don't wish for that day. And even with our community, I have to say, y'all, as much as I hate how the system is going right now, when that day comes, it's not going to be a pretty day.
No.
Just pray that your soul is aligned with the Most High, so that, because he says that blood will be up to the horse's bridle. That's how horrible that day is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be a pretty day.
It's like I say, and it's painful. But I want to address what the that young man, the man who you had on was saying earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Evangelical. Okay, first of all, evangelicalism, basically, with its history being with the idea of saying, where Yeshua said, "Go ye into all the world and preach the good news unto every creature." That might have been the core idea. But what it actually got turned into was like not preaching the good news to every creature, but take European culture and take that into everybody. That is where that comes out of. And so the perspective he is speaking from is not necessarily one, from what I can see, is not one of the spirit, but one of ethno-culture, basically cultural. European culturalism, European imperialism. It's coming from that perspective, but it's wrapped in biblical language. And that's where the confusion comes in. So when Jink and them were talking about it, and like I said, Jink is, again, a lot of them are probably atheist, agnostic, or what have you. It's a damning thing where what some of the things he actually was saying was true about evangelicalism. It's like that should have them raise up and take notes. So like, wait a minute, people who are agnostic atheists are calling us out, and they're right. That's a problem. That's a huge problem.
And see, the interesting thing is I never was raised in the concept of evangelicalism, because one thing I will say, the Baptist Pentecostal Church has a very much so a disconnection from evangelicalism. Mm-hmm. Other than somebody said Billy Graham. My grandmother was cute, loved Billy Graham. My great grandmother did. But we were kind of far removed. And when we started getting exposure to, I started getting exposure to John Hagee was through TBN.
Mm-hmm. Same here.
TBN is when we start. And even when I was a little kid, I remember at night. Y'all remember late at night when we were a little kid? And late at night was when those Christian, I call them telethons, would be on. And you would see them praying for the people before TBN. Because I was really young. I was like 5 years old, and I would be up all night and supposed to be in the bed sleep. And I would have the TV on, and you could see them doing those late night, I call them prayer-thons. And you would see them do the all-night thing. But because, like I said, the black church was so far removed from evangelicalism that by the time they started trying to merge the church, I was a little bit older. Because if anybody doesn't know this, evangelicalism was not 100% for the civil rights movement.
Correct.
End of it. Because they played like evangelicalism played both sides of the fence, because they was like, I don't know who's gonna win, but I'm gonna kind of sit silent. But evangelicalism was very racist, to the point that they and I say this only because I say this from experience. Evangelical churches, when they start integrating the schools, they created their own schools because they did not want to assimilate their kids with black people.
Yes, ma'am.
My daughter actually, I didn't know the history behind it until I put my daughter in a private school. I put my daughter in when this was before, I knew about the racism and all that. I was still heavy in the church, and I wanted my daughter to go to a Christian school. I did not want her to go into the normal school. So I paid out of my pocket my daughter to go to private school. And my daughter went to an evangelical private school. And when she went to the evangelical private school, I started noticing my daughter was it wasn't a lot of Black kids, I'll say that much.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't hard for her to assimilate because keep in mind, I pretty much reared her in an environment where I was in corporate America. We was in a city where it was just what you call those transplant cities.
Mm-hmm.
And the company itself kind of built the city, made sure the schools were good. And when you're dealing with an environment, guess what happens? It's predominantly white.
Yes, it is.
Got to be honest. So my daughter, Madison, was reared from first grade up to sixth grade, being the only Black person in each grade. Only Black kid in in each class, it was in each grade, there was at least just one Black kid. So she didn't have a problem assimilating because guess what? We all worked together. We all knew each other. So you couldn't do dirty stuff because guess what happened? If your kids showed that type of aggression towards the kid, it can get back to the office. And what happens is we start looking at the parents and say, wait a minute, if your kid calling my child a ninja and you work at the headquarters over here, then we need to start talking to the parent and figure out what's going on. And it'll leak back to the company's HR and you can get into some serious trouble. That's how much it was intertwined. So she didn't experience racism because of the fact of all of us was, in corporate America. There was no hood where I was. I'm gonna be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to pull her out of that and pull her into a more diverse environment. So we moved back to Memphis. I took a job in Memphis, and Memphis is a chocolate city. So she was pushed into a chocolate city, and she could take it, but it was just kind of hard for her because my child was, they kept calling her a white girl. So it kept getting to her. So I pulled her out of this after she got done with junior high or middle school. I pulled her out because I wanted her to kind of be comfortable and put her into an evangelical school. Well, the environment she was used to where she grew up was completely different because those white people didn't care. They treated her like she was stealing stuff. They was treating her like she was cheating on testing when she was making better grades than them. So she got to see the other side. And I said, wait a minute, hold on. And I'm gonna be honest, I got a little detached. And I didn't understand that because for 7 years, I was in a city that if you were known as being racist, you can lose your job fast. Because Walmart did not want that type of light. People said working in Walmart in their home office, you experience racism. Walmart didn't play that. Because they didn't want to lose, they didn't want to lose face when I got there. When a lot of us got there, they did not want to get in trouble with the media at that time. Now, this is in the early 2000s, like 2008. They didn't want to get that bad light. So they were they were very careful. Like if they knew you were saying the wrong thing and being racist, guess what happened? You would get taken to HR and you would be out of there like that. Because they didn't want that bad publicity. So because of that, me and her both was kind of sheltered. I was sheltered and I had blinders on when it came to racism because they didn't play that there. My daughter had blinders on. When I got back to Memphis and my neighborhood was kind of like predominantly white, and I got to admit it was predominantly white. A lot of them went to the evangelical church in the neighborhood. So I decided to put her in the private school because she was having, adjustment issues in the Black school. Because again, You're talking about a child that has, where she developed in that environment, the way she speaks, the way she carries herself. The kid had hair down her back, and she would put hair behind her ears, like her name was Becky. It wasn't her fault. It was just the environment she grew up in. So Black kids were giving her a hard time because of that. They was calling her white girl. They was calling her white girl. And she got tired. So I said, I'm going to take you out, and I'm just going to put you in the private school that I put her in. When I put her in a private school, she's expecting the environment to be there, and she saw a whole nother level of racism. The level of racism she saw, she said, Mom, I've never experienced this before. So she got a rude awakening about how they really feel about us sometimes. So when she got that rude awakening, I pulled her out and put her back in the Black school. And when I put her back in the predominantly Black school, she was able to kind of coast through, and she was fine. She didn't have no issues. And I'm glad I did that. But with that, I did some research, and y'all tell me if I'm talking too much, but I just want to tell you the whole backstory. So I did some research on the private evangelical schools. I said, wait a minute. Y'all, come on. Hold on. Wait a minute. What's going on? This is the Christian church. We're not supposed to be like this. What's really going on? Now, keep in mind, I still have the blinders on. Start doing research. Evangelical churches, the evangelical private schools was created to separate the white kids from the Black kids. I said, wait a minute. Tell me if I'm going down too deep down the rabbit hole, but I wanted to tell you that backstory.
No, that's a good thing. I mean, because again, that was also a similar experience with my family. Like I said, we've homeschooled, our son from birth, since, because again, you know his backstory. And so, but when we're basically, when my wife was actually doing, she's actually part of an actual organization, a group that did homeschooling. She was it was called a regional, like a regional manager. And she would actually go to different places, in this part of our, northern part of our state, and try to set up, saying, hey, have an evangelical, but like homeschool classes here, like the library and so forth. But it was still based off again, the evangelical church. When we started getting like to get the catalogs and stuff like that, you look through them and you're looking like, let me see, history. What do we got for history? Everything but Black history. Everything but that. And so it's kind of like, okay. And so as we're going through this, you notice that our son, usually he was pretty much the only, Israelite child in the class. And so so what she had to, teach one thing, but we had to give additional instruction to him when he got home to tell our history. And so because again, because their curriculum wasn't teaching anything about our history or who we are. And again, as you said, the evangelical church was built on the idea of, again, evangelical education was separating their kids, quote unquote, the good white, blonde hair, blue eyed children from them, for them folks, talking about us.
Correct.
And it's like, wow. So I'm like, and we did not realize that. And so when we finally end up leaving, like I said, we were at this church for what, 15 years almost. Pretty much the only place he actually ever knew, our son ever knew. But we left it like back in 2021 because we started saying, again, there were a few people who did, basically, really actually rock with it, showed the love. But the culture there in general, we tried, but it
But see,
was steep.
but it gives you the history of why they think the way they think when it comes to who the people are.
Correct.
They would never think that we are the people. They would never point it to them. So everything is prophecy directed to them.
Correct. Exactly. Because how terrifying would it be if they ever realized that the people that their ancestors enslaved were the people who of the people of Yah, and you enslaved
Oh,
them. That's a terrifying thought. They're like, because again, with evangelicals, why do they support Israel? To go back to the promise that Yah gave to Abraham, that I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. And they're like,
oh, yeah.
we gotta bless these people over here because we ain't trying to be cursed. Because what's on the coins, and they say in God we trust, even though they don't. Could do exactly opposite of his teachings, but that's where all that comes from. And like that young man was talking about, I said, well, they didn't have you have money, but that didn't mean much in the global sense. And it's like I disagree with my brother. It's like, no, it has a lot to do with it. It's not
Yes.
a hammer that's being used. It's a surgical needle that influences. Because
Yes.
they think it's like, oh, they can't buy an army. They don't need to. If you're
Correct.
supporting a strategic area of like, if you have a landmass that's very strategic to a bunch of, again, resources and so forth, and you have any type of influence with something that's bigger than you that can influence that, guess what? They have
Yes.
the influence. That's what I'm going to say. You have to think strategically.
Yeah.
You can't just think about like, oh, they don't have enough money. They can't do anything.
And the crazy thing is this: they have such blinders on, and I'm getting ready to segue into what just happened, because if you look at Ezekiel, he went into Ezekiel 38 and 39, but did not go over 37. When you look at Ezekiel 37, it talks about how he's going to bring the two branches together. He's going to change the heart. He's going to put a heart of and I'm gonna let me play Ezekiel, because he talked about Ezekiel. And we're gonna go into the other part of this conversation. Understand that this conversation is gonna be multiple conversations. This isn't the last one. It's gonna have to be a part 2. But let's read Ezekiel. Let me go to Ezekiel 37. And we're gonna play Ezekiel. Now he talked about Gog and Magog, how the end is gonna happen, how the Jews are gonna be saved, and all this, and how he's trying to connect 1948 to prophecy. But
Right.
I'm gonna play Ezekiel 37 for you. Let me go to it. And we're gonna go through Ezekiel 37. Ezekiel 37 when they talk about the return, there are key attributes to the return that we have to pay attention to, which goes into 38 and goes into 39. So let me, because I think it's the dry bones. Hold on. Here it is. I'm gonna play it for you. And we're gonna talk about this. And understand, y'all, this is gonna be multiple conversations. Hold on. This ain't the last conversation. I'm gonna give Hot Sauce the link in just a second, but let us get through this part, and then I'll start letting a few people come up. For everybody come up, I don't want to get sidetracked. So Hot Sauce, hold tight. So let's talk about Ezekiel 37, and I'm gonna play Ezekiel 37.
Chapter 37. The hand of the Lord was upon me, and carried me out in the spirit of the Lord, and set me down in the midst of the valley which was full of bones, and caused me to pass by them round about. And behold, there were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry. And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Lord God, thou knowest. Again he said unto me, Prophesy upon these bones, and say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord God unto these bones, Behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live. And I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and ye shall live, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. So I prophesied as I was commanded. And as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone. And when I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came up upon them, and the skin covered them above, but there was no breath in them. Then said he unto me, Prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, Son of man, and say to the wind, Thus saith the Lord God, Come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain, that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived, and stood up upon their feet, an exceeding great army. Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, Our bones are dried, and our hope is lost. We are cut off from our parts. Therefore prophesy and say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, O my people, I will open your graves, and cause you to come up out of your graves, and bring you into the land of Israel. And ye shall know that I am the Lord, when I have opened your graves, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves, and shall put my spirit in you, and ye shall live, and I shall place you in your own land. Then shall ye know that I, the Lord, have spoken it, and performed it, saith the Lord. The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick, and write upon it, For Judah, and for the children of Israel his companions. Then take another stick, and write upon it, For Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel his companions. And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand. When the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, Wilt thou not shew us what thou meanest by these? Say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel his fellows, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand. And the sticks whereon thou writest shall be in thine hand before their eyes. And say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountain of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all, and they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms any more at all. Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of all their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their God. And David my servant shall be king over them, and they all shall have one shepherd. They shall also walk in my judgments, and observe my statutes, and do them. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt, and they shall dwell therein, even they and their children's children forever. And my servant David shall be their prince forever. Moreover, I will make a covenant of peace with them. It shall be an everlasting covenant with them, and I will place them and multiply them, and will set my sanctuary in the midst of them forevermore. My tabernacle also shall be with them. Yea, I will be their God, and they shall be my people. And the heathen shall know that I, the Lord, do sanctify Israel, when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forevermore.
What it sounds like, based on what John Hagee is trying to push, 37 hasn't happened yet. He hasn't gathered them from the four winds. John Hagee is living off of 38 and 39, Gog and Magog. How are you going to talk about Gog and Magog when 37 has not happened yet? He said he's going to put them in their own land. They won't have to worry anymore. Their hearts are going to change. Their hearts are going to turn back to the Most High God. That's what I got from 37. And if anybody knows anything about the people over in Israel, they reject the Messiah.
Yes.
So how is 38 and 39 supposed to happen when 37 hasn't happened? Think about it.
And that's the thing. So, given that, because again, that's one of the big clues. It's like there has never been peace since they've been there. They have been, beefing with somebody, one way or another. There's nobody up under their own shade tree, just enjoying their life. No, they'd have drills that they go through in case stuff starts happening over there. I'm like, that doesn't sound like a peaceful place. Why not? If this is the people, why is it the land not at peace? It doesn't make any sense.
Correct. And then you have a situation where, and I'm going to play the video because we're going to segue now, y'all. I want to kind of segue into the next part of this conversation. If he is their God and he's with them and he's going to protect them, and even when you get into the concept, because I really believe the Gog and Magog that he's speaking about in 38 and 39, I believe it's going to have to happen after the millennial reign. 37 goes into the millennial reign where he's going to put them in their land and he's going to get their hearts right. And I might be wrong. But what I get from it is I don't see, and you tell me if I'm wrong or I'm right, or chat tells me if I'm wrong or right. Gog and Magog don't come into play until in Revelation, when it talks about after the millennial reign, when God destroys all of Gog and Magog with fire. Gog and Magog ain't even in the factor right now, because the thing is, when he brings Israel back together, he's going to change their hearts. He's going to turn them back to the ways of the Messiah. He's going to do all these things in 37 before we get into 38 and 39. How are you making a prophecy work for you when the very people that are sitting over there reject the Messiah? They don't have the spirit then if they reject the Messiah. Because the spirit that rejects the Messiah is the spirit of the Antichrist.
Right.
So how are you going to make that prophecy work when it's not, and they don't, some of them don't even look at it like it's prophecy, but it's not aligning with the word. The word tells you, if you read that, because when he kept saying 38, 39, Gog and Magog, I said, Gog and Magog does not happen. Because the funny thing about Ezekiel and those prophetic books, it jumps quickly. One chapter may be talking about 1,000 years of something, and then the next chapter go into this, but it may sound like it might be, it doesn't. Those books, sometimes if you hadn't read Revelation, I think it's Revelation 20, you're not going to understand Ezekiel. I think it's I think it's Revelation 10 20. Y'all don't quote me, because y'all know I'm my memory's shot when it comes to certain things like that. With certain things, I'm trying to remember what chapter it is, but Revelation goes into depth. I think it's Zechariah goes into depth. It tells you this is what's going to happen. Ezekiel may give you a glimpse. Another prophetic book may give you the whole view of what's going to happen. Another prophetic view may give you a segment of what's going to happen. And right here, Ezekiel was giving you, 37 was telling you a glimpse of what's going to transpire. And people miss that, and they're too busy. Evangelicals are so trying to make the prophecy work that it's not working. Because for that 1,000 years, it's supposed to be peace. It's supposed to be peace. Nobody will be able to be a wall. What did they say? A city of no walls, where they're going to be protected. None of that has transpired.
Right.
None of that has transpired. But what we got going on right now is because the thing is, we got to realize that during that 1,000 years, Satan is supposed to be chained up where he cannot deceive the people no more. Satan has been creating deception consistently throughout time. That's why we have so many different religions. Show me where Satan has been chained up. Show me there's a time that Satan wasn't deceiving the world between here and now. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen it. Satan is steadily deceiving people. Satan ain't stopped deceiving people. And then I've heard some people say, after 70 AD, the Christians and all that. No. Satan has been deceiving people during 70 AD, after 70 AD, when the Christians came about, when the Christians were persecuted, it was consistent. He's never stopped deceiving the nations. And Gog and Magog comes about right after Satan has been released, and he start pushing, or rather deceiving, stirring up the nations just for a season. And then once he gets done stirring up the nations, it's going to cause Gog and Magog to come to fight with Israel. And that's when Gog and Magog are going to be decimated. So what the evangelical church did is jump over the millennial reign and went straight into white throne of judgment, based off of what I've heard. And I'll be quiet because I'm going to talk about Iran and Israel, because if the prophecy is true based off the evangelical church, we wouldn't be where we are now, where it's been consistent wars over there.
Right. Exactly. So again, that's what happens when we start looking at scripture, not from a spiritual viewpoint, but rather an ethnocentric viewpoint. And so when evangelicalism is based on, European ethnocentrism, they're reading that into the text. And that's why it's confusing.
Yep. And the thing is this, if, and the thing is, no man would have to push prophecy to make it work. You get what I'm saying? Nobody would have to make prophecy work, because prophecy will work on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And what the evangelical church is doing is, it's taking too long for the prophecy to work the way we want it to work. So we're going to get in these jets. 250 of us are going to go to Congress and tell them, go and fight. Allow Israel to bomb. Because think about the war right now. If you even look at the scriptures based on Israel, when Israel is attacked as a nation, it won't be something that's warranted. They'll be mad at Israel's God and them being who they are to attack them. Everything has transpired is because Israel went over there, put those people under persecution, moved those people over into Gaza, put some form of apartheid over them. Those people got frustrated and sick of it and said, you know what, we're fighting back. They're fighting back. And what's going on is they push back on Israel. And ultimately, I'm not going to say because YouTube been kind of coming at us, but they push back at Israel, and Israel is mad because they're saying, look, we just want somewhere to live, sleep, and eat. Israel's like, no, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bomb you. I'm going to bomb your families. I'm going to bomb your children. I'm going to bomb your hospitals. I don't care nothing about you. Tell me where that is in prophecy.
Right. Nowhere to be found.
Nowhere. Prophecy says they're going to be serving their God and loving their God, and they won't be concerned. They're not going to be doing things because what the law, King David is going to be sitting there.
Right.
And he's not King David itself, but a representation. I look at that as being Christ. Is going to be sitting on the throne, making the call. Show me where Christ has been sitting on earth, making the call on what the laws are. Laws going to be coming out of Zion.
Exactly. And it's like, what is the law? Say what is the greatest, the commandment? Say, what is the law? You shall love, Adonai your Elohim with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I don't see not one bit of love happening over there.
Correct. I got a friend that went over there, and he said that, y'all know Father G. Y'all may not know Father G, but when I used to be on the Edge channel, Father G was on it. Father G said he went there, and they asked him, why are you here? What is your purpose here? And he felt attacked. And I said, why are y'all questioning the only brother in the room like that? He said they didn't question nobody else. They questioned nobody else. I said, wow. So the racism is there as well. The racism.
Yeah, it is.
Well.
And the thing is, the sad thing is that you cannot even call them on it, because again, they would use the word that's being, if you say a certain thing, a certain title will be assigned to you, and then next thing you know, you're getting, either knocks at your door, or your job ain't there no more, because you're being accused of being against them, using a certain term. And so, yeah, the fact that they were asking him that that spoke volumes.
Yep. So to segue into what's going on, because we talked about John Hagee for a good little minute. If you look and see what's going on, we're about to go into World War III. If nobody else sees what's about to happen, the world is at the brink of a war. Oh yeah, there go Father G right here. He remembered it. He told me the story. He was the one. This is the person that told me the story. That's Father G. And I was like, what? He said he was scrutinized. And I was like, wow. And I'll add him up here if he wants to come. Father G, you welcome to come up. Father G is always welcome to come up here. But with that being said, what we're seeing now is the stage being set for war. Evangelical church is trying to push a war. The Jewish community, I'm being honest, over in Israel, they want a war. They're pushing the U.S. into a war. And I'm going to be honest, the U.S. honestly doesn't. I don't think they want to go to war with Iran.
No.
They're afraid. I think they're afraid of Iran. I really think that they're afraid of Iran, but they won't openly say it because Iran, I think, is their fear. So I'm going to play this video for y'all. And these are, y'all know the strike happened. Now, right before the strike, I think it was right before the strike or right around the strike, Iran had already warned them. Let me find the video, y'all. Is this the one? Oh, here we go. I think this is the one because I watched it. I should have, for some reason, this is new. I should have saved it, but we're about to go there. I found it. Hold on. Hey, Goddess, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. So can you tell people what happened to you when you went to visit Israel?
So, you know, the thing that I've been to several places around the world, and I've never seen the airport in Tel Aviv so heavily guarded. Just like you mentioned, they asked me a series of questions. What am I doing here? How long I'm gonna be here? What else did they ask me? I mean, it was like several things, but the group that I was with had basically schooled me on what they were going to ask me, because I guess they figured, like, me looking like who I am, they were going to be like, they're going to ask you this, they're going to ask you that, so just ask it, just answer it in this particular way, and just don't tell them anything else. So the checkpoints that we had to go through was absolutely ridiculous. And also too, the treatment that I got at some of the establishments, like hotels, I sometimes I just felt like, I don't know if I was, if I was Black or American or just both, but I noticed how different I was treated compared to, like, say, my white counterparts. But yeah, that was my experience in Israel. Now, the Palestinians in the West Bank, they were cool with me. I was able to converse with them. They was talking to me like, I was one of them, and I really was digging it when we went to, like, mostly Palestinian cities in the West Bank, because and then there's, like, cities like Bethlehem, which is it's majority Palestinians, but it's situated in Israel, and I was welcomed by Palestinians, not so much the Israelis.
Wow. Well, I remember when you went on that trip, because
Mhm.
you had just got on Berean's channel, or I think you had been a part, and you told us you were leaving
Yeah,
to go to Israel, and you were gone for like a couple of weeks when you were
3 weeks. Yep, I was
Yes.
there for 3 weeks.
And we were like, bring back pictures. And when you came back and you told us of that experience, I was looking at Berean like, what you got to say about that now, Berean?
Yeah, and and what's so funny is, many people go over there and it's like, oh my God, I had a spiritual experience, and we visited these places that, they say estimately or supposedly, like, Jesus walked here, Jesus was born here, Jesus was died here, and it just felt so touristy, and it just felt like you couldn't sit in these places and just take in the experience. They basically just kind of like rushed you in and rushed you out. Now, I did enjoy myself in Galilee. where we was at Capernaum. And Capernaum is it's a city situated off the Sea of Galilee, and it was much less, I would say, much less touristy, because I was able to walk the beaches and walk the shorelines and just kind of take that in. But the closer we got to Jerusalem, I felt very like I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. But the experience that I had got out of it was, for me, it didn't matter where it didn't matter where Jesus walked on this earth, but what mattered to me was where Jesus is at in my life right now.
That part.
So that was the spiritual experience, I think, I got out of it. It's not the typical experience that most people who would go over there say, wow, I got it. That was I got a realization of where is Jesus at in my life right now, which is more important than where he walked when he was on this earth.
Yes, yes, and the interesting part is the level of arrogance, because me living in New York now. What's funny is we used to be on Moran's channel. He lived in New York. I was in Memphis. Now I'm in New York. He used to always say, "I'm going downstairs and give me some chicken and ice cream." And I see where I get an idea of where what area he was in, because you can get food anywhere out here. But I remember when I moved here, I live in an area that is a predominantly Black area. Well, not predominantly, it's a mixture of Black, white, and then you have a segment of a group of individuals, which are the Jews that live a couple of blocks in that area, because I know where because I'm getting ready to move anyway, so I don't care about what people think. I'm moving like very soon. But I live in the area where near the tunnels. And living the area near the tunnels, the whole thing with the tunnels in December, that's a predominantly Jewish area. With that, they are very arrogant towards us. They don't want to say anything. They look at us, they'll walk past us, they'll doggone near knock you down if you're in their way. And I'm the type of person, you knock me down, I'm gonna respond. I'm not a New Yorker, but I'm a Memphis girl, so you're gonna get a response from me. They will bump into you. Some of them won't apologize. They'll step on your toes, and it's just like you can feel it. Like we don't matter. And I'm like, if people really, a lot of these Black Christians really knew how some of them treated us, they wouldn't be the way that they are. Because you can tell the way that they treat us like we the N-word. And it's very disheartening, but it took me to live here to see it. Like, you don't go like into Williamsburg where I say not Williamsburg, I think it's the part of Bed-Stuy. I'm still learning the area. And they have like a bunch of Hasidic like grocery stores, and you see them walking up and down the street, especially tomorrow morning, you're going to see them walking all over in that segment of Brooklyn. You go into one of their stores, just go into one of their stores and see how they look at you. Go into one of their ice cream shops, because they love a good ice cream parlor. See how they look at you. Walk into any of their establishments sometimes. They'll look at you like why are you here? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, where is the heart, the way that Ezekiel 37 explained how they're going to be the people that are filled with the Spirit? Is this how you act?
Well, I mean, look at their leader, Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu actually grew up in the United States most of his life.
Yeah.
And then he ends up going back to Israel and get involved in their politics. And this is basically what we get. We get an arrogant person who, even the United States, who is a staunch advocate as to a fault of Israel, telling him that he needs to stand down on a lot of these things. But what does he do? He's doubling down on this war against Iran and Syria. And I just got a feeling that he's trying to drag the United States into this war with Iran. And right now, the United States, they don't want to get into another war because, you know, they want to try to pool their resources to kind of try to finish off the Ukraine war, which that's not going to be possible. And then focus all their energies on China. But they can't do that right now because now Israel is trying to drag them into this war. And unfortunately, it's not going to turn out good for Israel if they keep provoking Iran into this war, because Iran has allies, and these allies may step in and do something about this.
You're right, because Russia is already like they're here for it. You get what I'm saying? So I'm gonna play something, and I hope you can stay up here because Gardis, I love your insight, and I love your insight too as well, Aerospike. I want everybody's insight into this. I'm gonna play this really quickly. You got the time, Gardis?
Yeah, I got some time.
Okay, cool. You good, Aerospike?
Yes, ma'am. I'm real good. I'm good to go.
Okay, we getting ready to. So I'm gonna play this. This was I came across this morning, so I'm gonna play it.
U.S. official confirms Israel has launched a strike against Iran. It happened overnight. So far, no comment from Tel Aviv.
The strike was inside of a major Iranian military airbase that contains facilities associated with the country's nuclear program. But we know Iran's nuclear facilities are secure.
So we have not received any official statement from the Biden administration, but a source says the U.S. was notified before the strike and was not involved with it.
All right. Retired General Jack Keane joins us right now live from Washington with expert analysis. He's in a moment, but first we go to Jeff Paul, who is live on the ground in Tel Aviv, where, Jeff, we can see the city in the background. Is it business as usual, or are the people acting shocked that they actually struck?
It definitely feels like a normal Friday here in Tel Aviv. You see a lot of people out and about running their last-minute errands ahead of Shabbat. You've got Passover starting on Monday, so it is quite busy. The beach is packed right now. But in another sense, we are also waiting for the Israeli War Cabinet to meet at some point today. Obviously, this Iranian strike will be a topic of discussion. But one thing we probably won't hear from is an Israeli government official today, and that really goes in line with the military strategy from Israel to not comment on these targeted strikes. But regardless of if anything is said by Israel today, the strike itself really does send a loud and clear message specifically to Iran that they can hit within the borders of Iran where they want and when they want to. Now, this was considered a very specific and targeted strike. It was focused on the central region of Isfahan. It's roughly 200 miles away from the capital city of Tehran and also near the Natanz nuclear facility. Now, we should point out the site was not hit in the strike, and it appeared that a nearby airbase was the target. Iranian state media so far really downplaying this strike. They've reported the explosions that were heard in the region were from the Iranian air defense system responding to 3 drones, but have not mentioned the source of the attack. An Iranian official has also reportedly told Reuters it has no plans to strike back immediately. But curiously enough, a few hours before this strike in Iran, Iran's foreign minister was in the United States and spoke to CNN and made some comments about Israel and what they would do if Israel retaliated. Take a listen.
When we say at a maximum, we mean if Israel commits that same mistake, our response will be regretful for them, immediate and decisive and definitive. If we come across a condition in which the United States of America puts itself beside the Israeli government in order to expand the warfare intentions, it is not within the interest of America to do that.
So very strong words from the foreign minister in Iran. But today, really no comments from Iran or Israel, as it seems both countries are trying to sort of de-escalate the situation so it doesn't widen out to a wider conflict. Brian?
All right, Jeff, thanks so much. I'm Steve Doocy. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I mean,
So you notice how straight to the point Iran is on this war. And when I saw the title of it, I was like, wait a minute. So Iran is not going to respond. But if you listen to the prime minister for Iran, or the president for Iran, he ultimately says that we're going to respond if Israel responds. And people don't realize if those two fight, those, like you mentioned, Gardis, the allies have to be involved. You got Russia. And if you got Russia, China's going to come on the side of Iran. Then you have Israel. You'll have US. And you're going to have the UK. You're going to have all the European nations siding with Israel. And then not to mention the other nations. You got Ukraine that will side with America, not Israel. Yeah, with Israel. Ukraine that's going to side with Israel. You're going to have Taiwan. All these things going on with China and Taiwan and the Philippines. You're going to start seeing all these. And I'm like, this is a world war. And people don't, and when I saw it, I said, this is finna get ugly. If Iran strikes back and if the strike is harsh, it's not going to be pretty. Anybody got any input?
Yeah, I can definitely see how, Israel would use basically the U.S. as a proxy,
yep.
For the aggression, because it's like a little brother, talking to, like a little kid talking to this bigger kid that they don't like, talk all this junk, knowing that they might not be able to do anything, and say, my brother can beat you up, and then go cry to the big brother to come out and do something. Only the big brothers look at the other one right in the eye like, oh shoot, what have I done? And that's basically what they're doing. They're trying to use the might of the U.S. as a proxy for their aggression.
Yes. Because the thing is, you notice that they said in a news report that Israel struck a lot of the areas, but they did not hit the nuclear sites, or where the nuclear warheads are being held. So they didn't hit those areas. So it's interesting to see what's about to transpire based off this. Now, keep in mind, the U.S. ain't trying to get in no wars. You know why? Gardis made some good points about why the U.S. is trying to stay out of the war. But another part of the factor is we don't have the manpower anymore. This generation is not trying to go to war. This generation is not trying to be drafted into a war, nor are they trying to enlist in a war. That's my daughter's generation. Generation Z, one has too much information, too much access to information by way of the TikTok generation. And this is a segue into the other part of the conversation. Here's a Generation Z just said something. Say it out loud, Madison.
I said, who wants to fight for a country that doesn't benefit them at all?
Correct. And this is not just one gen. She's Generation Z. All of Generation Z is saying we're not fighting. So you don't have the manpower to fight for you anymore. If you draft, this generation is like, I don't care anything about a draft. Send me to jail. I've heard TikToks where people say, okay, would I rather go to war and get killed, or would I just go to jail until the war is over? Their choice is jail.
I don't think this will be a war. China's not going to fight in this. U.S. is not going to fight in this. Israel doesn't have the social capital, right? Literally, all of Israel allies said stop. So I don't think this will go be a war. I think it'll probably escalate a little bit, but they'll probably go back to being proxy war. Okay, I hire this group, you hire that group, and we attack each other like we've been attacking each other forever. But No, China for sure is not going to go to war for this. Russia will be hard because Russia's still bombing Ukraine as as we speak, right? So now Russia has two wars. And then Biden already said, no, we don't want this kind of smoke.
I'm gonna drop a poll in here real quick. I want everybody to give me their let me see. Hold on, let me do the poll real quick. Anybody got anything else to add while I add the poll in here?
Well, I hope hot sauce is right. That China and Russia doesn't get involved. And he is right about Russia still being involved in the Ukraine. But I honestly think that Ukraine war is about to come to an end because they realize that they're not going to beat Russia, and technically, Russia is not really looking to. Well, let's look at it from this standpoint, because that war isn't really about Ukraine versus Russia. It's the West versus Russia.
It's about NATO.
Yeah, and they're using they're using the West as a they're using Ukraine as a proxy because you're right. NATO forces are the ones who are battling Russia in that particular war. But
because
go ahead.
They asked Ukraine to join NATO, and Ukraine was saying we're thinking about it. If that conversation never happened, Russia doesn't bomb Ukraine.
Yeah, obviously, and it was the same situation that happened some years ago when they attempted to put Georgia in NATO, and you saw what they did to Georgia. They they bombed them in the span of weeks, and you don't hear that conversation anymore about them going into NATO. But Israel, but here's the problem: Israel. It's not. It doesn't even have to come to a point where Russia or China has to be involved. They're having issues with Hamas alone, because technically, from a standpoint of looking at media critically, Netanyahu made 3 promises. He wanted to destroy Hamas, release the hostages, and also install a government in Gaza that is more friendly to Israel. And none of those things have come to fruition. So from my standpoint, and from reports outside of Western media, Israeli ground forces, they've been losing a lot of those battles. This is why they have to resort to airstrikes in Gaza. And so when you technically take a look at that, take a look at what's been going on in northern Israel against Hezbollah, which, they've been fighting a fierce war up there. And then, the issues in Yemen with the Houthis, who's not allowing Israeli ships through their straits. Israel is already fighting a 3-pronged war in those situations, even without the superpowers involved, even without China or Russia involved, and they don't need to be involved because Israel is already in a losing battle, especially if they try to prod Iran into this. And basically, it's all about Netanyahu trying to stay in power, because once these wars are over, he's very unpopular in Israel right now. They want him out, and he knows is that if he loses these wars, or if he has to withdraw, he will be immediately removed and probably prosecuted.
That would be interesting. The reason I'm saying that there is going to be a war, because if you look at Song of Prophecy, something is supposed to transpire. One, we see multiple indications that something is going to wipe out some nation. We don't know what it is, if it's a bomb, if it's whatever. And I'm not saying that, I don't want to say that, but something in prophecy says something catastrophic is going to transpire, which is going to cause all the nations to be rattled. We know something is going to happen. It's not going to be someone just sitting there having a proxy war. I'm just saying from what I'm seeing in prophecy, something is supposed to trigger all the nations. And we can't deny that. What is everybody's thoughts? And I'm only providing my insight. And I'm looking at the poll now. The poll is still saying that 74% believes yes, we will be. Will there be a World War III? 73% says yes. 12% says no. 15% says I don't know. So 73% right now is saying yes. So anybody got any insight?
I think so. I think they're. I'm saying because I don't know about anybody else, but I kind of been sensing something is happening again. I am not a prophet. I don't claim any gift of prophecy or anything of the sort. But it's just the way things have been looking. I don't know if you had noticed it. It's like it's a sense of like a lot of heaviness. And now, and and people, it's just like it's very hard to describe. But I think you're seeing nation rising against nation. You're kind of seeing that right now, and all say again, with a lot of these disasters going on, that's almost in rapid succession. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. That's why I've been praying and say, yeah, lead me not to temptation, but deliver us from the evil one.
Yep. It's something because even they talk about the Antichrist. The Antichrist is supposed to bring some form of peace when it's going to be so much war and famine going on to the point that it's just like, what's going to fire? Something supposed to happen. Any insight? I love the fact that Gardis is up here. He can provide us his viewpoint, and Hot Sauce as well can provide their viewpoint. So what do y'all think?
Well, I mean, looking over the last couple of years, you're seeing the lines being drawn between certain nations. You have the Western nations, like the United States and the European nations and Israel. But then you're starting to see certain countries like Russia and China being aligned with certain nations as well. And then you start to see these cooperations of these nations, whether economically or even militarily. We saw in the last couple of years the BRICS coming up: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These are the aligned countries that formed, I think 11, 12 years ago. And now they added 10 more countries to their alliance: Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and a couple of other more countries that I can't think of right now. But these countries have aligned economically to kind of battle what they call the G7, which is United States, France, Great Britain, Canada. The big Western countries. But you also have a military alliance that nobody hardly talks about called the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. And this is a nation kind of like what NATO is. They comprise of Russia and China and other nations like Iran. Iran is one of them, and they have a military alliance as well. So when we're seeing these lines being drawn, something, I agree with you, Sister E. Something is brewing, and when you hear, like, I would suggest the audience and you guys to take a look at some of the conversations that's been going on in the UN councils.
Yes,
and how they've been kind of like going at each other in these sessions. I think it's very, very interesting, especially when the UN Security Council starts to meet. I mean, those debates be, they be really, really heated. So when the Security Council starts to talk, you kind of feel something, something is up and something is
animosity.
There's very much animosity there.
And the crazy thing is, I listen to it. Is if you listen to the UN conversations that they've been having lately, usually those type of conferences, they're boring. It hasn't been boring lately. They have not been, and I can't remember everybody's name because I've been listening to it when I'm at work, but you can sense the hostility coming across the room, especially between Iran and Israel. You can feel when they come. And like the guy just said at this last speech he made, he says, if y'all do what y'all gonna do, when Iran said that, we are going to respond. And I'm like, they not playing with each other. They totally not playing with each other. And these people be playing with these folks like, I mean, people are missing it. And if you don't listen to it, just type in UN and you'll get the live sessions that they have and you can listen to it. I haven't been listening to it in the past week because I've been busy, but this is a good time, if any, to listen to it. Have you been how often do you listen to it, Gardis?
I mean, I listen to clips and snippets. Sometimes when there's like important Security Council resolutions, I see if I can catch it online. Most of the time they have it on like Al Jazeera and stuff like that. So that's where I kind of catch it at. But you know, also too, another alliance that's been happening, which has been happening in Africa, is the Sahel states. As you saw in the last couple of years, Niger, Mali, and all those African states that have, you know, kicked out the French have now, you know, formed an alliance within themselves. And also Niger has actually kicked out the U.S. Troops from their country, which they're making a bold statement that, you know, we don't want Western influence in our nations anymore. Not just the French, but all Western influence. And this is kind of shaking up countries like Nigeria, which is still kind of like associated with, you know, European nations, because I think the president is tied. You know, he's tied to the United States and several other countries, but they also have been antagonizing these Sahel states. So now they've joined in an alliance with each other, and now you're seeing Africa. You're seeing African states, you know, lining up in certain formations, and it looks like there might be some kind of contested war. But you know, I'm trying to figure out how does this play, because I'm pretty sure it's going to play in the bigger picture of the global, you know, in the global perspective.
Yep. And you see it playing where the biggest worry, I really believe, the biggest concern of the Western nations, if Africa ever gets to a point where they can get the each nation to unite and stop arguing amongst each other and unite and be like, because I've just recently heard the phrase of the United States of Africa. If Africa can stop for 1 minute and unite, that would be the Western colonizers' worst nightmare. As long as they can keep them divided, they can be able to drain the swamp. Well, not swamp, but drain from their resources. As long as they can keep them divided. But the moment they unite, that's a big problem, because I just recently heard that Niger and Ghana have started to are coming together, and other nations within Africa are now beginning to see the benefits. And then just here recently, Africa has been offered entry into Russia with no passport. So you got other nations that seeing the collective benefits if Africa comes together, because guess what? If Africa comes together, it can become a problem to the Western nations. So Putin is in the middle of it. Like, yeah, let's go ahead and y'all come together. Because the thing is, Putin is being Putin. Putin is looking at the benefits for him. I don't think he 100% cares for us. I don't know. But he's looking from the benefits of it. If I can get the African nations to stop fighting amongst each other long enough and come together, they can be a superpower to come against the Western nations. And that would be their biggest nightmare, because that's where a lot of they're getting their coal tan, they're getting a lot of their resources. So
What I see, I don't. If we're talking about World War III or something like that, I don't see that. I think that's like after the millennial reign, something like that. Will there be a war or two or a skirmish? Sure, possibly. You know what I mean. But I think what we're seeing right now in prophecy is the beast abandoning the whore, Israel being the whore. I think that's where we are in prophecy at the moment. Yeah, I think Israel's going to be shocked when uh they do attack, and they're going to realize they're alone. They're going to really realize that they're alone. When it comes to like Africa and things like that, Africa, Africa, in my opinion, is a little bit interesting because I think part of Africa will be judged, like especially the Gold Coast. Like if you look at Nigeria and things like that, I feel like they're being judged at the moment. Same thing with the Middle East. You know, you're looking at UAE in the middle of the desert, but it's flooding. You know, I think that the judgment that's going to happen right now, and the things that's going to happen right now, I'm leaning more to it being supernatural than more of it being like man-made or man intervention, right? I think the things that are going to happen now is for sure going to be more supernatural. And I mean, we've seen Africa before. You know, you have ECOWAS, they're trying to get their things together, but not really off the ground. I forgot the name of the East African Trade Alliance, but again, like Kenya and Tanzania can't get things off the ground. So when it comes to Africa, you know, there's still a lot to go. There's still a ways to go there. And then even with that, you still have to look at the judgment that's going to come on part of Africa. You know, some parts of Africa is Esau land, things like that. So yeah, that's just how I see it. I just think, you know, we're there's going to be a lot of more supernatural movement and supernatural judgment more than a war, in my opinion.
I say I would definitely agree with that. Like I say again, when it comes to the spiritual things, said the spiritual things will affect the physical. So again, as things happen there, I think we're going to see, because look at what's happening in the U.S. A lot of Western countries right now, just socially, the deep fragmentation of this entire culture. It's literally falling apart in front of our eyes. Again, no matter where you're right wing, left wing, doesn't matter to me. It's two wing of the same unclean bird. Say no matter what, you're seeing basically an internal meltdown of this culture, of this social structure. It's falling apart, and so that I think that has a lot to do with spiritually first, because again, this country said, does not follow Yah's commandments, no matter what I say. So this is a God-fearing country. Like, well, no, it isn't. It actually hates him to the core because their actions show it as such. So I do believe something will happen, because again, what happens when you have a deep fracturing of culture? It's not united in any way, shape, or form. And then somebody brought up in the chat about the economic issues that we're facing right now. I mean, it's like, again, you got 2 bags of groceries, you have spent $100. People don't do that. And say you could look back at history and see where where did this happen before? It happened April 476 AD. That's when the Roman Empire split. That's when it actually fell. What we're seeing now happened then. So
Yeah,
it
and
will
with
not.
inflation and things like that as well. Yeah, and again, like we're missing. I think we're missing like you look at the UAE. It's literal flooding in the middle of a desert.
Right. Exactly. That's like, that's not natural. That just doesn't happen.
You talking about in Dubai? Well, we know what's
Yes.
going on. Dubai right now is in the situation. What I've heard is the experiments that they've been doing for rain because it doesn't normally rain that
Yeah,
much.
the seeding of the rain. Yeah.
Cloud seeding. And in fact, when you look at some of the reports, they even notice how weird the water is. They say the water comes down and it's bubbles. So you can see that is that's a mess right there within itself. So, but I mean, I can't agree with hot sauce on this. I'm so sorry. I think that it is going to be the nations are going to lead to something, because ultimately you got to look at the indicator, the Antichrist. Something has to happen to make people look for the Antichrist to help them.
Right.
Yeah, but but there's going. I'm not saying there's not going to be a war. I'm saying there's not going to be a World War III. That's what I'm saying.
That don't make sense then, because if it's going to be a war, it has to be World War III. Especially right now when you look at it, and I'm not arguing with you. Everybody has a right. Right now, all of us are just speculating. All of us are just giving our insight of what's happening. We truly don't know the answers, but yet it's still, when you look at right now, we're in a situation where you got Israel and you have Iran fighting. U.S. like, I don't want to get in it because it's not beneficial to us. We don't have the energy nor the manpower. Our economy is shot. Really, U.S. don't want to get in it because it's not benefiting them, and it's going to impact them in the long run. But U.S. is still involved because whenever Israel, the strike that Iran originally did, it was Israel, UK, and the European nations that was protecting Israel by blocking the bombs. It wasn't them. It was the U.S. and those different European countries that was protecting Israel. Iran is like, y'all keep getting in this, it's gonna be a problem between you and us. Then, not to mention, it's like everything you see is just coming down. Like right now, you're in a situation where U.S. is in a financial catastrophic state where we're barely keeping the lights on over here. You got a president who almost he act like he has Alzheimer's. You got another nutcase that possibly can be the president, but people standing outside setting themselves on fire outside while the court case is going on. It's so much going on within the U.S. and what's going right now with the U.S. and the relationship with Israel. I believe it's going to be a Pearl Harbor incident, because if you remember, during Pearl Harbor, the U.S. said they were going to stay out of the war until Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, and the U.S. had to say, now I got to step in because you're bombing in U.S. territory. So it's so much going on right now. It's like a powder keg, and you're waiting for it to just explode.
Yeah, but it requires much more than that. I mean, I respect everybody's opinion. I just think I don't see it the same way. So, but it's okay. I'm used to walking alone, so it's fine.
Yeah. Right. I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
Well, I just wanted to add. I mean, hot sauce may not be wrong on this, but because there are people behind the scenes who are basically trying to prevent this breakout of war, and so far they've been successful in this. The United States is in a vulnerable position. It's the first time in decades. You look at you look at the history of the world in the last century. The United States has been the lone superpower in the world, and even though you had the Soviet Union, they were still above them as far as superpowers. Now, Soviet Union was a superpower as well, but not in the level of the United States. And then 30 years ago, they collapsed. And now you have the United States, who could basically do whatever they want to, because they had the world economically, they had the world politically, they had the world militarily. Nobody can mess with them. But in the last 10 years now, you've seen Russia and China rise up as the superpowers. Now, they're still, China may be a little closer to the United States. Russia is a distant third, but still, now you have the world stage where you have three superpowers. Two of them are against the United States, and so it was, this is the vulnerability, because now you're not only seeing the two superpowers ganging up on the United States, but economically, you're starting to see the dollar fall around the
Right.
world. You know, the
Right.
U.S. dollar was the global currency, but you know now with the rise of the BRICS, Brazil, India, Russia, China, South Africa, combining their economies together, they're basically trying to shut out the United States economically. They're
Right.
also.
Sorry, I just want to add a little bit. See, that's the thing.
So 1 second. I'm finna take Rio downstairs really quick because we've been talking since 9 o'clock and I forgot to take him outside. Give me 10 minutes. I'll keep the conversation rolling. I'm listening though through my headphones.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to add something. Like, that's one thing that people have to understand. Like, I've been living in China for like a while. I'm actually here now. And China fights economically, not physically. Right? It fights economically. So when they're saying that China's going to war, not likely. It has to not over the Middle East, not over some religion, something like that. No. It doesn't. For China, there's no value there. Right? The value is winning economically, right? And establishing trade. That's the whole point of the one road, one belt system, right? That's how they, dominate. So if it's not something economically based, they're not going to fight.
No, and I agree with you. I mean, China is not going to antagonize a war. I think, in a sense, if I might be correct, Sister E, and other people who agree with her on a possible war could be caused by some type of antagonistic event that might be coming from a country like the United States. So, say for instance, the Taiwan situation, which is
well, that would be different. That would be different.
Yeah, and the United States doesn't want to get into that either. Even though they want to so-called protect Taiwan, even though Taiwan is part of China, according to many nations across the world, including the United States.
One China policy.
Yeah. So I think people feel like this country, just like with any injured or hit dog, they're going to try to bite, even though they may not win this. But no, I agree. China is not an antagonistic type of nation.
Right. So what I'm also saying, to be kind of clear, that even if Russia gears up, Iran gears up, and they're shipping stuff over there, China's still not going to do it, because we saw with the Ukraine war, right? Russia asked for a little bit of help because they were overwhelmed with the supplies that Ukraine were getting from all of Europe and also the U.S. And China said, hell no. Matter of fact, right now there's a ban on Russian currency coming from Russia to China at the moment. Right? China's about China. Right? And people have to understand that. China is about China. And they don't war and occupy like the Europeans. They control you through media, business, and economics. That's how they fight. Right? The TikTok was how they fight the US. Make America dumb. Make their children dumb. Okay, give them TikTok. Right? Buy up other oil places around the world. Push America out of Africa through infrastructure building. That's how they fight.
And also cyber warfare.
Yeah. So, I don't want to mention that because I'm still living here. So,
yeah. I'll say it for you.
So I'm just saying, right? Like, so people expect, like, you can go look back at the news clippings and reports, right? Russia was a little bit upset at China because China did not give help to Russia during the Ukraine war. It didn't.
Yeah. But here's the thing too. Because of that Ukraine war, it has drawn Russia and China and many other things. It has drawn Russia and China together, who historically have been enemies at points in time.
Well, Well, right now, what I can say, because there's some Russian business owners right now that have companies in China, and right now is quite the financial, like some kind of new policy that just happened. Now it's quite hard to move money between Russia and China at the moment. So when you see that, that means there's a problem.
Well, let me ask you this, because here's another scenario I've been thinking about, because with United States, Russia, and China being the three major superpowers, one thing that I think the United States made a mistake on is drawing Russia away from them. Which, if they could, because the United States plan is to have this antagonistic war against China, because that's who they want to fight. They really want to fight China.
No, I think it's more about. Okay, go ahead.
But I think it would have been strategic for them if they would have drew Russia on their side, and then at that point you could have had the two superpowers against the one China. Now, I was thinking about this because if there is another superpower that rises out of this, it's going to be India.
Right. That's the real Magog and Gog. It's actually India they're talking about. That has the Bible's talking about. It's not China, it's India, actually.
Yeah, so I feel like India, if they can rise up to be a global superpower on the level of the China, Russia, and United States, and in India, who has been kind of playing both sides of like the Western nations and the Eastern, and the Eastern Bloc, which because they are part of BRICS. If they become at least close to a superpower, and they get on this side of the United States, don't you think that might antagonize them, since India is an enemy of China in a political sense?
No, I think I separate it in two places. China and America point of contention is who's going to be dominant, right? China wants to be dominant, America wants to be dominant. America and China was cool until 2012, right?
Yep.
But when it became the second strongest economy, and it became closer and closer, crept up to America, then China started making its own policies, not following America. Then there was contentions. Before that, there was never contention. The real war, it should be, so I think, or from my understanding, it's more of Russia, India, Iran. Right? I think we're looking, when you're looking at China, you're looking at the wrong spot, because China and America really just have this kind of friendly joust about who can be number one, right? But it's actually India that's going to have those strong religious, cultural views, and going to have really strong alliances. China's not like that. China's for China. Everybody's a foreigner if you're not Chinese. Right, you got to understand that kind of mindset. So as long as we don't do anything stupid with Taiwan, China is going to be, for the most part, whatever, ambiguous, like they've always been. Right, they're going to be ambiguous. The person you're going to have to watch out for, and the economy is rising, is actually Iran, because China's also dealing with inflation, also dealing with trade problems, and right now, more and more companies, because of COVID, moves to India, right? And that's how China actually got its power, was through manufacturing. Now more and more people are moving over to India for that, India and Mexico. So it's actually India is the person you got to look out for, not China.
And that's true. However, here's the issue,
because they also have nukes as well, right? They have nuclear capability as well, right? India does.
Yeah, but when you talk about the economy, because one of the things a lot of tech companies were trying to do was trying to make headways into India, and they've been they've been kind of like doing it slowly with importing like help desks and service desks to India, but they're trying to, you know, I think companies like Apple are trying to get into India, but there's been an issue with India because unlike China, they don't have the infrastructure to host like these companies, and so it's been kind of like a wait and see with these companies trying to make headways into India, and I think that's what's kind of like halting the progress of India being at least an economic superpower because of the infrastructure issues that they've been happening. And same thing with Mexico. You know, they've been having infrastructure issues trying to get those corporations in there as well.
But Mexico is much further ahead than India, because I mean, manufacturers leaving here. You know, Guangdong, where majority of the manufacturing companies are, is not what it was pre-COVID. Like Chinese companies are in 3 to 4 places. They're in Vietnam, they're in India, and they're in Mexico. No, I'm sorry, they're not in India. They're in Vietnam, they're in Mexico, and Bangladesh, right? So and a little bit in Thailand, but it's mostly Bangladesh, Vietnam, and Mexico, right? And so with Mexico, they're working together to build the infrastructure, right? Because of the bans from goods coming directly from China. So a lot of Chinese manufacturers moving over to Mexico because of the NAFTA agreement. And then you have some in Vietnam because it's cheap labor. Bangladesh, extremely cheap labor. But manufacturing has left China, right? A large portion has left China.
Well, what about the? Let me ask you this, because you seem like you're knowledgeable about that. What about the chip manufacturing that they announced back in October with the mass manufacturing of their chips? Because I know like Taiwan was because they were, you know, like a couple of years ago.
That's more Taiwan and specialists than mainland, right? Mainland, they have it, whatever, but because of some mineral that is hard to get, that they can't get in abundance, their chips are not going to be as powerful as Taiwan's.
Okay. Yeah, and I did see that too, but they were still able to manufacture, you know, the chips on mass.
Yeah, they can, but so for the most part, any kind of manufacturing on mainland is going to be high level, high tech type of stuff. All that textiles, cheap stuff, that stuff is gone because the margin's just not there. Inflation is here, and it's just gone.
Okay. Okay. Sister E, you back?
Yeah, so this is why I don't see. This is why whenever we're talking about a Russia China tag team, I just don't see that. I just don't see that because every opportunity China had to tag team with Russia, especially with Ukraine, it didn't. Right? We definitely got to focus. I think when we're looking at Gog and Magog in the Bible, just how people have us wrong about who the true people are, I think we have it wrong when it comes to China. I think it's more India.
That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah,
that's
it is.
An interesting perspective.
Because India lines up a bit more, right? Because you got to look at the Arab slave trade, right? And you got to look at like how they had the slaves and how they have a deep history of hatred with us, right? Matter of fact, when you look at China actually helped out in the civil rights movement, right? A lot of civil rights guys came over to China to learn how they handled things, and they went back to the U.S. and brought it there, right? China's not as anti-true Israelite as India for sure, right? Because India was a part of the slave trade, the Arab slave trade.
That's interesting. I hate I missed like some of it. I hadn't been gone that long, but
hey sister, I got to get off, but hey y'all, I appreciate the conversation. Probably listen on a little a little longer as much as I can, but thank you for having me on, and thank y'all for having this great conversation.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here, brother.
Thank you for joining us, guys. I might end up ending it and just have a part 2 because I didn't even get into the TikTok ban right now. We're in a situation where you got the TikTok ban is supposed to happen on tomorrow, which I don't think is going to happen because they still have to make it to the Supreme Court and they have to sign off on it. They talking about it's going to be like 9 months before they truly sign off of TikTok. TikTok is very prevalent. As far as
do you think it's going to be successful, banning?
I think possibly it is because of the machine that China has right now in providing information to people. There's a little bit of censorship there, but I don't see the true censorship that like you see on the Facebooks and you even see on YouTube. You're able to get information that you can't get on mainstream media. So, and then CNN and all the rest of the news outlets, they're getting somewhat of a hit because of TikTok. So I see that it's going to happen because it's just TikTok is not working for them from a monetary perspective and a censorship perspective. But it's going to take them a while to do it. And I think even if let's say that they shut TikTok down tomorrow, the information is out right now. There's nothing that they can really do at this point. I mean, people are going to look at the news media or the news outlets differently now. They're not going to be real quick to still listen to CNN, MSNBC. I rarely listen to MSNBC, and Fox. I might listen to CNN. So now you're in a situation where people don't trust the news media being honest.
Right.
So you're not going to, people are just they're not just minions anymore. So they could potentially do it, but the lack of trust is already there and there's no way they can rebuild that trust. Trust is out the window. The trust circle is officially broken.
Right. That's why people are now depending on independent media to get their news right now, or maybe even foreign sources. Because here you are never really going to get the actual true story, because you'll hear one thing they said on CNN or MSNBC or Fox News or what have you, goes to a foreign one and they're saying something completely different.
Yep. So I am going to revisit this. I'm not done. It's gonna have to be a part 2. So y'all, I'm back.
Yeah. Well, can I say one thing? Because I wanted to mention something about the evangelistic church. You were talking about how come they can't see it. But because it's even though the church say they don't do it, it's replacement theory, right? So the reason why we don't read 34 is because they think that the church in Israel are the old bones that come together, right? So in order for Christianity to work, we have to have this big war so the rapture can come and he lifts up their church and Israel together and they become one people.
Yeah, like I said again, it's more to me when it comes to that, the way again how they understand the
right. That's how they understand it. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. As they they understand again, evangelicalism is part of more of European ethnocentrism as opposed to me Bible-based theology. Because again, that was my background where I was at. I saw it every Sunday. It was like, they would talk about, about Yeshua. They would talk about, salvation by grace through faith, which is the truth. Said they speak that truth. Salvation is by grace and through faith in Yeshua HaMashiach. Exactly. That's not a problem. The issue only comes in is when they begin to mix their cultural politics along with biblical theology. Then it becomes something different.
I mean, well, how are you going to get tithes if you're going to tell the people they're not going to be raptured up? Right? Who's going to pay for that? Right? Or who going to pay for, like, okay, well, the true people been living next to us all this time and you treated them like crap. So we're about to get this work. Because honestly, man, I hear about the war and stuff like that, but I can't see America getting into a war while all these judgments about to come upon her. Right? We're already seeing the economic judgment right now. Inflation. right? The dollar is devaluating, right? People are not getting jobs. Government's going broke. Can't print more money. But you're about to lose your what is it? Your AAA credit. So you can't even borrow money from the World Economic Forum. I mean, I'm sorry, the IMF, not WEF, the IMF, Kim, right? Where you can still borrow money at the IMF, but it's going to be higher rates now.
Yeah, like I said again, that's why I said looking at history, Rome went through the same thing, and we saw what happened.
I can't see them going through. Yes, I understand that war is judgment, but I can't see them going through war while getting other judgments on it.
Well, I say again, I think the way I see it is like that can be all that together, because again, when judgment comes, it's never anything nice. So it's it's not necessarily a nice, orderly, logical thing. No, it can be chaotic. So in other words, yeah, you're going through this economic thing, or they can't get in this, but then something else is happening at the same time, and then more stuff happening at the same time. It doesn't matter, because again, it's judgment. It's if the Most High takes his hand off, off of a nation and just lets everything happen. There is no, okay, well, they're having this issue right now, so let's wait a little bit until this next thing happens. No, it can happen all at once.
No, I agree with you, but I see what's happening in America now, like what was happening in Egypt and in Rome, right? When Rome collapsed, it was from the inside, not the outside.
Right,
and then
and
also
we see that now.
Right, and then same thing with Egypt, right? It was through the 10 plagues, right? They didn't have the war at the time of the 10 plagues.
Right. They might not have that war, but like I said again, that was Egypt for that specific time, for what was going on, for that prophecy to be fulfilled, for that for what was given to Abraham, for that to be fulfilled. I think this is something different. So this is something different, because again, when the prophecy was given for this, what we know as the United States didn't even exist. They didn't know that there was, again, a giant ocean that was, 1,000 miles away to the west, and on the other side of that was another landmass. They had no idea. So when Yah was talking about these things, he was telling them in a way that they could understand of what they knew of the world at that time.
Right, so you're going to go back into Egypt again. But see, this is the thing. We're at the time of the second Exodus, right? The eclipse, in my understanding, right? I could be wrong, but in my understanding, that was the sign to the captives and to the captors that the people who had us in captivity are going to get double, and the people who are in captivity, you are free, right? So for me, I just see second Exodus, right? Before any, because I mean, we in prophecy, Israel is the most important character in the timeline, right? So to my understanding, second Exodus happens before the war between Gog and Magog, right? And so far, the second Exodus hasn't happened, and the second Exodus is supposed to be so great that second Exodus is supposed to be so great that we will forget the first Exodus, and this Exodus is supposed to be like a global Exodus, right? And that comes before the Gog and Magog war, right? Because he says that he takes us out, and then he pleads with us in the valley of Jehoshaphat, something like that. I might got that part wrong, right? So we come first. Right, we come before the Gentiles. And then even before the Exodus, it says that you will see the judgment. You'll be there to see the judgment. Right? But when it comes to war, we're supposed to either be in the wilderness or the land or whatever. But the second Exodus happens before that.
You see, like I said again, I think that's where some of the big other controversy is. Again, again, this is not, there's no show for that. Again, talking about the 400 years versus that it already happened, was it or is yet to happen. But again, I'm just saying, for what we see from Scripture, when judgment came, like I said, some nations, it wasn't always, again, with Egypt, it was something special and specific. What we're seeing now is not. We know that something horrible is going to happen, and it's not going to be necessarily, again, this economic thing and then nothing, and then something. Say, no, it can happen all at once. It can say, because again, this is judgment, and it's not a nice thing. And so that's that's just how how I see it. Again, when it comes to geopolitics and everything, again, as far as I don't know about your background. Like I said, again, I am not an expert. I'm not going to say, like I said, I did not study geopolitics in college to get, to give you a, this high level understanding of it. It's just becoming just from my observation, what I do know from history, again, what we know from from scripture and my own observations based upon what what's going on. So again, I can easily see something happening horrendous and a war happening at the same time. Because again, it ain't supposed to be anything nice and neat. It was something that is traumatic that will hopefully, the idea of turning people's hearts to the Messiah, because it's going to be so bad. Again, when the Antichrist shows up, they're going to be looking for somebody to save them. Even though the scripture is there to say like that, who said there is no other name under heaven by which men must be saved other than the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. There's no salvation in any other. But when these things happen, people, it's going to be so bad. People will be like, some guy saying, coming, hey, I can help you, I can save you. They'll just turn to him, and that's the Antichrist. That's what. So again, a war, economic destruction, all types of stuff, plagues that happen at once, and it will be so bad they will turn to anybody who seems like they can actually stop the problem.
Well, I mean, I do hear your perspective, but I just think that is kind of out of order of the timeline, because you're absolutely right. Like when chaos happens, there's no order. Everything can just happen at once, right? It can be just a huge storm. But my problem is with this is that when it comes to the Antichrist and when they're looking for a savior, whatever, that's the Gentiles. That's not us, right? That's the Gentiles. So, because Jacob's trouble is over, we had our punishment. We had chattel slavery. We had the Arab slave trade and the Atlantic slave trade, right? We had mutilation where they would mutilate the men in the Middle East. We had the making belts and boots out of baby skin. I mean, you know what I mean? Like we had the most horrific thing that ever happened to us. So that part is done. It's not going to be Israel asking like, save us, save us, save us.
Oh, right. I'm talking about those who, I want to say, those who occupy the land. Now, that's what I'm referring to with that.
Oh, but when that happens, whenever that happens, we're like, according to my understanding, that's we're not there. But yeah, I do agree with you that all of that stuff can happen. But I'm just saying that I think it's a little bit too early because the second Exodus hasn't happened yet, from my understanding. I mean, I could be totally wrong. I mean, but I thought it's Exodus, millennial reign, the war between Gog and Magog, right? Because they're supposed to attack us, and that also goes to the war scrolls as well, right? We have a land without border, meaning that we don't have tanks and planes and defenses, right? And then the world goes into famine, but we're not in famine, according to the war scrolls. And then they come to attack us. Right.
Yeah,
so but I mean, I could be wrong because I'm not too clear on that sequence, but my understanding is that sequence. Exodus, wilderness, land, Exodus, wilderness, purging of the rebels, and then the land.
Okay. Well, because again, that's how you understand. Because again, I definitely have a different view on that. I said, but the show, but we're right here saying we're not focusing on that. And like I said, Sister E said again, there's probably a lot more that's to be done. And they said we probably do not have the time to do it tonight.
Yeah.
And
But
we're gonna unpack it some more. Like I said, I've gotten my zeal back to do some stuff. So I don't think, Master, do we have anything planned tomorrow? I don't think I have anything planned. So if I don't have anything planned tomorrow, and I might try to throw another part 2 to this out on tomorrow. Worst case, part 2 will be out on Sunday. Because I don't want us to leave here. Because I got a feeling some craziness is going to happen where I'm going to have to do a live on this weekend. I might be wrong, but it's just so much going on to the point that...
No, I agree with you. Like, I think there's going to be... I think that whatever we saw between 2007 and 2017 to 2024, I think we're going to see a lot more craziness. I definitely agree with that, but I just think it's going to be like more like, meteors just coming out of nowhere or hails of ice. And even with the seeding, when you see the clouds, right, the water's not supposed to bubble like that, right? So I just think that we're going to see much more supernatural stuff. They're already calling for diseases, the locusts, for the famine, right? They already let us know about that. The 2 different types of locusts that are coming to the U.S. Right? I think we're going to see a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because the thing about it is that,
yes, I agree with you. I'm just seeing your viewpoint, but I'm not in a hurry.
yeah, like I'm also just speculating. But the thing about it is, I think we all can agree on is that, because it says in the land of their captivity, they will say that they'll recognize that we are the people. So something has to happen to them to make them say, okay, we are the people. And I think that's next.
Yep. So, but we'll have another part to this. So, y'all, I'm going to bed. I'm done. But one thing I am going to do is play a video. Let me see if I can play it. Europa did a song for me. The guy, LV, the guy that was up here earlier for my channel. He said, Sister E, you need some type of intro song coming in. So I haven't played it for everybody because I couldn't find it. Actually, he sent it to me in December. And then when everything happened with my father and everything, I couldn't find the email anymore. Just here recently, because I've just gotten to the place where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to do some stuff. So I got kind of lost in my email. So I'm gonna play this for y'all. Let me see if I can download it. Okay, so let me see if I can upload it. Because there's a place where I can upload just audio. Hold on. Rio, no! Hold on, y'all. Get out of there. You can get put in timeout, sir. Everybody can have a 2-year-old. He's 2 years
Rio's
old.
my main pup.
Man, Rio is 2 now. Can y'all believe it?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me see. Let me see if I can add the music. Hold on. Okay, here it is. I just added it. I'm gonna play something for y'all. So this is a song that I'm gonna use coming in. So let me mute everybody out.
Think of the passion, God love everlasting. Keep the law of the land and book in case you're asking. Moving forward to the learning and it's free. Cause I know that God know the combo go with Sister E. Love talk, Sister E. God work, Sister E. Charity, Sister E. Let's talk with Sister E. All different type of information every week. Let me speak. If you subscribe, we're going deep. Love talk, Sister E. God's work, Sister E. Charity, Sister E. Let's talk with Sister E. Think of the passion, God love everlasting. Keep the law of the land and book.
So y'all heard it?
Yeah, is that your new intro song?
Yep.
Yeah.
Heard it.
Start utilizing
nice.
this. LV created that for me. So y'all shout out to LV, Europa. These are some good brothers. Him and Don Bird. Y'all know Crazy Don Bird. They both helped with this. So they kind of said it's like you need to do some stuff other than just we need to come out with something for you. So they working on other stuff for me now. So because they're trying to get me back into the swing, and these guys are really pushing me to keep going and stop chilling out and having moments. So this is and we're gonna continue to keep this going. And y'all, right now, news is the hottest I've seen since the super virus. I'll say that because they hitting us with anything right now. So I have to use secret terms. So I ain't seen news this hot since the super virus. So y'all gonna really see me come out here a lot more because it's a lot of stuff going on. And even I hope, I don't want to say hopefully, if I run across something as I'm roaming this crazy city, I'm gonna probably do lives and stuff so I can let y'all see it. Like I said, we had something that happened in New York. Rio, stop it. We had something that happened in New York today where a man was standing in Manhattan, standing in front of the courthouse where Trump was being tried, and literally set himself on fire.
Yeah, that was insane. That was self-immolation.
Another part to that, I didn't know this. My Madison told me that he was an active shooter. They thought. I don't know how that is, but she brought that to my attention. They thought he was going to be an active shooter. So I was going to talk about that tonight, but I think we got so deep into the conversation of the war and evangelicalism that we didn't get a chance to delve into that. So we'll talk about that this week. But I got a feeling this weekend I'm gonna be back out here for whatever is supposed to transpire because it's so much going on. I'm gonna be honest. This weekend I plan to hang out at home.
Yeah.
I don't do a whole lot. I'm gonna watch my show Fallout. If anybody's watching anything, watch Fallout. Are you watching Aerospike?
No, I don't have Netflix. I don't have any of that.
Oh well, yeah, I forgot. So I'm gonna watch Fallout this weekend and chill out at home because it's too much going on, way too much going on. So I might do a little bit more. Or tomorrow I'll be at home. I might do some in the morning, depending on how I feel. But yeah. But thank y'all so much for supporting me. It's good. I haven't really got deep into it just yet, Fallout, because I'll get started and then get sidetracked. So I said this weekend I was gonna spend some time watching it. But thank y'all so much for okay, I'm just looking at that. I just saw a message. But thank y'all so much for supporting me. Thank you so much for coming out. Keep coming out. Share this video. Like this video. If you like my videos, it brings my algorithm up where I become more prevalent or more relevant on YouTube. So we want to bring more people into this conversation. And I want a diverse group of individuals involved in these conversations. So y'all, let's hit that like button. That like button is very important. People don't realize how much that like button is a driver to get into other areas within YouTube, to be able to get other people to watch it. So if you're watching it now or you're watching it during your playbacks, make sure you hit that like button. I want to start seeing my like buttons go up because it's very important to my algorithm. Because like I said, I want to be able to get more people involved in these conversations. So hit like, subscribe. If you want to donate, I'm welcome to it. My super chat is right here. Well, my super chat is here. My Cash App is here. Y'all know I ain't big on that, but people tell me I don't say that too much. I get fussed at all the time. They just say, "Sister, you don't talk about Cash App and super chat." I'm like, because I just don't. It ain't no big deal. But I mean, not a big deal. I'm grateful for when people bless me. But I do want to say something about it because I get fussed at. I just feel I don't want to be worrisome. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, you know how I am. I'm not like that. I'm just happy for y'all to be here. But if you want to donate, you're more than welcome. And Rio is saying hello all. If y'all donate, I'll buy Rio a new bone so he can be quiet doing Rio saying hello, family. But yeah, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Share if you haven't shared. Let's get more people involved in the conversations. I do want my channel to grow because I have been sitting and I've been chilling out, and I want people to be more involved. I like the engagement. The growth for me is the engagement. I love to see people in the chat. I like to see your perspective. I like to see people, provide things that I may not agree with. Hot sauce, I don't agree with hot sauce, but a hot sauce does have a relevant voice in the community, and we have to allow people to voice their opinion. Yeah, likes for Rio. Likes. I need likes for Rio. Y'all, Rio is big now. Rio is not a little puppy anymore. But like I said, just like, share, subscribe, go and like my old videos. That helps with the algorithm. I want to bring more people, like I said, into the conversation. But I have thoroughly enjoyed this. Y'all, I have enjoyed this, and we're gonna keep going with this. If y'all happen to see some news reports that y'all want me to talk about, email me. My email is let me see. My email is actually on my, if you go to, and I'm explaining to you how to get to my email. People be like, so see, where's your email? Rio, hush. If you go to my channel and you go to, hold on, y'all. Is it my community tab? My about, they don't have the about anymore. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So my email is, y'all, hold on. Don't talk about me because my email, this is my email. If you have any videos y'all want me to post, here we go. If you want me to talk about any news reports, because I'm a news is my thing, email me. Say, hey, Sister E, we came across this new news report, and just put new news in the subject line, and I'll know that that it's in reference to something possibly that I'm gonna speak on. So just, hey, send me something. But right now, the relevant conversation is what's going on as far as the world stage when it comes to the war. But overall, y'all, thank y'all so much for your support. Before I close out, Aerospike, do you have anything?
No, just thank you for allowing me to be up here and just to share my perspective on the things that's going on right now.
You're more than welcome, and you are always welcome to come up here, my brother. Thank you so much for your support. Well, family, y'all have a blessed evening and a wonderful Shabbat. Everybody rest, as I'm about to do. I'm gonna rest today, and I'm gonna rest in the morning. I'll if I feel like doing something, I'll do it. But thank y'all so much for y'all support, and have an amazing Shabbat. Y'all bless.